Because as we know, there are known knowns. There are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there's some things we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns. The ones we don't know, we don't know.
Yes, yes, yes. It's the boxing, what is it? It's not the boxing talk with Raphie today. It's boxing talk and classic fights. Let me turn this music down just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay. All right, that sounds better. And what are we looking at here? What we're looking at here. Okay, we're looking at messages coming through that I don't want to see. I'm going to have to mute that. Let's head over to, okay, so let's do the sound check. Turn this music down just a little bit. Damn, it's a good thing I turned that down. It was drowning out the sound. Okay, so you are in tune to Boxing Talk and Classic Fight Review 3. This is the third episode, the third time we're going into this. And yeah, it's proved to be very, very nice. Okay, so we still haven't had the notification that we are live yet. So I think the best thing to do at a time like this is go into a warm-in video. Let's do that. Let's do that. So we're looking at here. Shall we do this? Shall we do this? It's gonna cause much consternation. I don't know if I've done this before. Have I done this one? I don't know. But anyway, let's get into. Let me line this baby up anyway. Let me get all the relevant, warm in video. Boxing Talk and Classic Fights. Let me show that that's what you are. That's what you are in tune to. Maybe I just leave that there. And maybe I just mute this damn Hangouts. Oh dear. I see who's putting out my link. Oh dear. Okay. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But in the meantime, we're going to go into a quick warming video, allow the area to populate. And maybe I just write that in the chat also. Okay, we got the Philip Carl Roberts, we got the Troy Graham, and we have the problematic H. Monet. Oh dear. Okay, so we're going into the warm-in video right about now. Warm-in video. Okay, it's going to be about 5 minutes, and then we're going to go straight into it. But this will allow the place to. Oh, you just got the live. Well, that's good. So it's a good time. It's a good time. It's a good time to start this shizzle. Let me line it up, and I'll be back with you after the video, which is going to start any second now. Let me just line this baby up. Okay, boom, boom. Let's go full screen. Boom. Let's get some volume on this. Let's kill the music and see how we go. Where is this? Let's go.
Yes, yes, yes. It's Raphael Dawkins with the Comeback Radio. And today, we're looking at the words of Frank Warren. Frank Warren is open to Wilder versus Dubois. Just look for further sources. Don't blink. Frank Warren wants to make Daniel Dubois versus Deontay Wilder after Tyson Fury trilogy fight is through. And Frank is backing his boy to win. Clearly, obviously, logically. Okay. So Frank Warren, promoter, revealed he would match Daniel Dubois against Deontay Wilder by the end of this year and expects the young heavyweight to win that fight. Dang. Okay, so as we know, Wilder 34 was dethroned by the WBC title, dethroned of the WBC title, and in his first loss in his professional career on February after dominating, beating the hands of the gloves, of none other than Tyson Fury. Okay, so let's get further and deeper into this, as they say. Okay, so if Daniel comes through his first fight with Joyce, which is a tough fight, if he comes through that and another fight, then yes, by the end of the year, yes, I would love to put Daniel in there with the bronze bomber Wilder to the left. This guy, bronze bomber, the defeated WBC champion, with his torn bicep on the left, that one there. Is that the left? That was the right. Left's over here. This is the left one. It looks a bit short to me. Looks a bit shortened to me. The left one. Boom. This one. That one. Okay. So, Daniel Dubois, as we know, has his hands full with Joyce, Joe Joyce. Just moved his family, a large family home, big enough for everybody to have their little area. Currently, this is the workout area. One of the workout area parts of a workout area. Imagine he's got some cables and whatnot for stretching, calisthenics area, regular dips, chin up bar, and some other equipment. Right here, we're looking at the open space, training with his brothers, and his sisters around there somewhere. All of the boxing, all of them is Daniel Dubois ready? Is he ready? Going too much of that. Some reason we got volume. I don't want no volume. Maybe that's the default setting. But sharp jabs ready for Deontay Wilder. And so the question is Daniel Dubois ready for the bronze bomber? As Frank Warren suspects, Frank Warren believes one more fight, he gets past Joyce, one more fight, and then he is ready. An offer will be sent to Deontay Wilder. The only question on my mind is, will Deontay Wilder still be fighting after his next fight, the trilogy fight with Tyson Fury? And as I said, when the fight was made some time ago, the original fight 2 years ago, I coined the term, after the fight, I coined the term, it was a cherry pick gone wrong. Fight with Tyson Fury, that is. So, is Deontay Wilder still going to be around after the trilogy fight? Because I'm expecting more of the same. Even if Deontay Wilder comes with his A game, I see him getting dispatched. See Tyson Fury taking him out of there. So he might not even be around for Dubois by the end of the year after the trilogy fight. That's what I suspect. What say you? It's the Raphael Dawkins, it's the Combat Radio, it's the like, it's the subscribe, it's the comment, it's the shares, and it is the hitting that bell icon to stay updated with news and notifications. Don't forget about the live show. Monday we had the Battle Royale, talking about who has the best heavyweight resume currently, and that was one that you don't want to miss. Getting messages on that one. Highly entertaining discussion roundtable battle royale. And Wednesday, the 6th of May, 9 p.m. UK time. Got another visit from none other than Rick Blazer, Boxing Insider. It's our 4th interview stroke Q&A, so have your questions ready. And on Friday, it's boxing talk and classic fight review, all at 9 p.m. UK time. So that's like 4 p.m. Eastern. What is that? Like 1 p.m. on the West. In the West. Wild, Wild West. Okay. Have your say. It's the Raphael Dawkins. It's the Combat Radio. It's the Dubois. Will he be ready for Deontay Wilder at the end of the year? Frank Warren's going to put the offer in. Will Deontay Wilder still be around, or will he have retired by then? You tell me. It's Raphael Dawkins, and I'm out.
Okay, let's bring back the music. Boom. Okay, levels are good. Levels are good. And I do believe we are ready to proceed with the thing. Okay. Let's get this straight. So let's come out of that. Boom. Let's drop. Your sound is messed up. Yeah, my sound was messed up, Marla. My sound was my sound was messed up because I know why. I know why. It's good now though. I would imagine the sound is good now though. Okay, let me drop the link in the chat. Boom. Why is this thing here saying new comments? What's that all about? Okay. So let's tell you a little bit. Where am I? There I am. Okay. A bit too much headroom. Okay, we're looking good now. Right. Where do I begin? Let me get a drink. Okay, so let's get this thing started right. Let's go through the roll call. Okay, so as you know, where are we? This is Boxing Talk and Classic Fight Review. So we're gonna do a little bit of boxing talk when people come on in. Link is in the chat. We're gonna do a little bit of boxing talk, and then we're gonna go straight to some classic fights. Well, a classic fight. We're gonna go straight to a classic fight. What's going on here? Okay, so the fight doctor is in the house, and the link is in the chat. It's the Philip Carl Roberts. How do you do? It's the problematic H Money making accusations about people. And the Troy Graham. Okay, Nicole Beatty, the lovely Nicole Beatty. Haven't seen her around in a while. Good to have you in here, Nicole. I trust that you've smashed the like button to smithereens. We got Marla up in the building, all the way from New Zealand. The fight doctor is in the house. Is he on Rick James status? Okay. It ain't no thumbs up, H Money. It ain't no thumbs up. It ain't good. It ain't good at all. Yeah, I'll talk to you in a second. Stick around. I'll talk to you in a second. We got the John D. Lee up in the building. And, okay, everybody who's coming in, come on in. What's that sound? That wasn't me. Everybody who's coming in, come on in. You know what the first topic is? You know what the first topic is? Well, actually, that's the second topic. We got a new first topic. Okay, where are we? Where are we? Yeah, the sound ain't good, but I think it's good now though. Correct your sound, Raphael. How's the sound now? It sounds good, right?
You sound good, Raphie.
Well, thank you, H Money. Wild Soul in the building. Is this a warm-up video? The sound should be better. Yeah, well, yeah, it is better. I know what the problem is with the video. The problem has been rectified. Yeah. Okay, so what are we gonna do? Here's Troy Graham first of all, John D. Lee, how do you do?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Okay, good stuff. We're gonna talk about that, the video, the situation, in a moment. First things first, though, Troy Graham. Here's the truth about Wilder and versus Daniel Dubois right now. It never happens. Wilder gains nothing from fighting Dubois at this point. Dubois is a puncher. Wilder does not fight punchers. True words. H Money, calm down. Just smash my knee in. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I think Wilder is finished. Wilder will be finished if he gets destroyed by Fury again. I think if he fights Fury again, he gets destroyed. I think if he fights Fury again, he gets destroyed. I used to, oh, damn. So we got H Money. We got H Money talk now. And I'm going to talk to H Money in a second. We're going to talk about the accusations, the accusation, singular, the accusation he made recently, which ain't good at all. Shizbiz up in the building. What does Troy Graham say? Wilder will be finished and become more irrelevant based on how he loses to Fury in the third fight. Yeah, I think so. You know what? Audio's good now. Okay. Okay. Yes. Ross Clark in the building. Okay. I think we got to the bottom of that. Shared and liked. Much appreciation. Don't forget to share and like the thing. Nice topic, Raph. Yes, well, the link is there for you to jump on, my friend. The link is there for you to jump on. Mr. T, sound is now good. Boom. Okay, we're populating. Everybody keep your mic muted until you're speaking. How you doing, Troy? Hey.
Good.
Okay. Boom. Good to have you in. The Fight Doctor is in the building. The place is populating. The area is populating rapidly. How do you do, Fight Doctor?
I'm doing well, my brother. How are you doing?
I'm doing very, very well. It was a little bit of a rush. I had a little bit of a rush on. I had to go out and get provisions just prior to the show, so came in a couple seconds late, but don't worry about that. We will make up for that. I was about to shock the world again. Damn, I like your optimism, but I don't see it. The Reverend Pickles up in the building. Up in the building. Okay, so who we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got me. We got John Dealey. We got H Money. We got we got the Fight Doctor, and of course we got Troy Graham. Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to be looking at a fight, but first of all, we're going to talk about the Daniel Dubois versus the potential of Daniel Dubois versus Deontay Wilder. But first things first, I have to address the pink elephant in the room. We've got to address the pink elephant in the room. We've got to talk about this thing. H Money, you made an accusation which hasn't gone down too well the last couple of days. You want to talk about that?
Which one? You know, it's a lot of
You can't remember which one it was. We're talking about the accusation you made against Ring IQ.
Oh, that one. Okay, definitely. I've been waiting for this. You can put it on the screen on me so I can break it down. Yes, you know, Ring IQ is a well-known racist, Raphie. You know,
first of all, before you start, let me just say my position. And in all the time I've been listening to him, I've never detected any hint of racism at any time.
Well, let me speak on it, brother, because you know, I need to defend myself. It's easy for you to say that living in the UK, brother. I'm here in America. This is different type of racism out here. You got Ring IQ going around, you know what I'm saying, making videos, calling me out my name, which is using the N-word. He's a white man. First of all, he shouldn't be using it. He hangs out with Johnny Boy and BDA Boxing, well-known racist on the YouTube channel. So this is what's going on. His hatred towards African-American fighters and African Americans in general, which he didn't deny. You know, he had an opportunity to deny the allegations, Raphie, which he never denied. Okay, first of all, he hates every African American fighter, starting with Clarissa Shields, Devin Haney, Demetrius Andrade, Deontay Wilders. You got fighters such as Earl Spence, nothing but negative comments, Charlo, Tank Davis. You know what I'm saying? The list goes on. You know what I mean? So why is it only towards the black fighters? Why is this hatred is only towards African-American YouTubers? That's what I want to know. You know what I mean? So the guy is a racist, and I see you got a couple of his supporters here who are racist as well. You know what I mean? And you know, I'm just calling him out for what it is. He had an opportunity. He's a liar. You know what I mean? He's a liar, and he's scared to fight me. I called him out to a fight. Let's settle it. Let's use these hands. Let's use these hands. He don't want to do that, Raphie, because he's a bitch. And then when I pulled up his picture, he had 4 eyes. He was soft as hell, bro. A nerd, a computer geek. You know what I mean? So that's what it comes down to. You know what I mean? And he got exposed, and he's hurt. He's hurt in his soul. You know what I mean? Because I speak the truth. I spoke the truth. You know what I mean? He can go around and make jokes and do that all he want, but at the same time, I'm speaking truth. I'm speaking the truth, bro. You know what I mean? He doesn't want to fight. All he wants to do is talk negative about African Americans. We just seen what happened in Georgia. Young African American man gets gunned down. Gunned down. He didn't say anything about that, but he's quick to mention Devin Haney. Oh, Devin Haney said no white boy can beat me. You know what I mean? Make 20 videos about that. You know what I mean? Whereas you got to keep the same energy. He's using reverse racism. Talked about Conor McGregor. No, never talked about Conor McGregor insulting Khabib's religion. Talking about a man's religion, blowing everything under the rug when it comes to the white man. Tyson Fury, you know, Christian Hammer fight 2015, gets caught tampering with his gloves right before the fight. What does he have to say? Not a damn thing. You know what I mean? So it's just his history. It shows it. Hanging out with BDA Boxing, well-known racist channels. I got him on audio calling me nigga. He doesn't say anything about that. But when Devin Haney says no white boy can beat me, which isn't a racist comment, you know, it's not a racist comment. He doesn't have anything to say about that. Raphie, I can't boxing. I try to keep the controversy off your channel. You know what I mean?
So Raphie, can I say something real quick, Raphie?
Bro. Shut your bitch ass up, you dick rider. What's up? Let's meet us. Show your face. Show your face. I'm right.
Hold on. Everybody on mute, please. Everybody on mute, please. I don't want this to turn into a typical slanging match. I don't want this to turn into a typical slanging match. So
the typical H money.
Yeah. I don't want it to turn exactly. I don't want it to turn into that. So I'm going to talk to H Money by myself. Okay, so H Money. I had to mute you there for a second. You're now unmuted. Okay, so H Money. The problem is that I have not encountered any hint of that from the guy in question, the Ring IQ. I have not encountered any of that in the times that I've been aware of him. Never. You made an accusation about another guy. Okay, that other guy said, no, I am not, but my friend is. And I go to certain places that kind of are. So that's one thing. But this guy here, you're talking about the IQ guy. No, I don't think that was right. I don't think that was appropriate. I don't think anybody else feels that way, but I can't speak for other people. So I'm going to go around the table for anybody who wants to comment on it. If you don't want to comment on it, you don't have to. So H Money,
I'll go.
you had your say, and I'm gonna go around the table now and let other people have their say. Okay, John D. Lee, have your say if you wish to.
Well, I've said about this already.
You talk about it already. You don't have-
My personal view is I don't think Julius is a racist, but I am a white person, so there may be things I miss. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, that was the John D. Lee, unbiased boxing. If you want to have,
No, he's not. Yeah, he's not racist at all. He had Crawford on his pound for pound list. He always advocates for Terrence Crawford. He likes Devin Haney. He likes Andrade. So I don't even understand where that's. I mean, it's just rhetoric, honestly, or just trolling. Pretty much just trolling. Yeah, that's pretty much all it is. So yeah, but you already know. Yeah.
Okay, so that was unbiased having his say. Over to the fight doctor.
Yeah, I don't know the guy, so I can't comment.
Okay, fair enough. Respect to that. Troy Graham, if you wish to speak on the matter, you may, if you wish to. If you do not, then you don't.
Yeah, I'm not. Yes, yeah, I'm going to speak on it, but what H Money's doing, he's using a tragedy to actually, to promote himself. That's what they do over there at the was it LDBC? They use it, but they don't ever build on it. Meaning that I can't think of one thing that group has ever done for Black people on a whole. Maybe he could tell me. What have y'all done? You promote a lot of separation. You yell that you pro-Black. You are pro-Black to those Blacks who stand with you, because you're definitely not. Because I'm darker than you, and they can't stand me over there. And I actually know the truth that I come from. On top of that, and I know history on top of that, and they still stand me over there. So maybe you could break that down for me, H Money. Try and make some sense of it, and then we could go back to boxing.
Okay, so the question is, state your question, Troy Graham. I will present that to.
Sure. Okay, my point is, you say you're with a group that's pro-Black, and you're calling out other people who are not pro-Black and all that wonderful stuff. So how could you be pro-Black if you blocking other Black people simply because they disagree with you, and then you threaten their families if they disagree with you? Perfect example is Ishe Smith. Go ahead and speak on that, sir.
Okay, so over to H Mo 9.
I appreciate it, Raphie, man. Troy Graham, I've been knowing you for about a year and a half now. So me and Troy go back. We have personal conversations, one-on-one talks. I never had a problem with Troy Graham. I know where he comes from. He told me stories about his family. He told me about how his son passed away. You know what I mean? It's Troy. I got
son passed away.
It was one of your family members died. You told me the story about one of your family members. It was somebody that was close to you.
Keep it moving, man.
You know what I mean? I know the story. I know it's emotional. We just seen a young Black man get killed in Georgia, like I said, and nobody said anything about it. But there's a few things I got to say. The other guy mentioned, I didn't know who he was, but he said something about Terrence Crawford. Raphie, we all know that these guys adopted Terrence Crawford because they want Earl Spence to lose so bad. So he mentioned one fighter out of, you got 30 fighters, you got all these Black champions. You mentioned one, you're using Terrence Crawford. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. They adopted Terrence Crawford because they want Earl Spence to lose so bad. Raphie, that's all he had to say. And this is a Ring IQ supporter. That's the best you can do. Seriously, man. Okay, now to address Troy Graham, with all due respect, I told you, Troy, that I respect you. You know what I mean? So this is what I got to say about that. When you talking about the LDBC, I'm a representative of the LDBC. Big L's right here. You know what I'm saying? This is how you throw it up. Shout outs to the LDBC, the mighty LDBC Barbershop Conversations, who's doing a hell of a job. Doing a hell of a job in this community, Fred. Doing a hell of a job in his community. Yes, the guy goes back, gives back to his community. Fundraisers, you know what I'm saying? Feeding his people. What about that? That's not giving back to your community. A guy who's a millionaire helping out in his community, who doesn't need boxing, who doesn't need any of this. He doesn't need any money. But what he does, he comes here and educates his people. When you talk about what happened in Georgia,
okay,
when you talk about what happened in Georgia.
One second. I got the mute button, bro. 1 second. You're muted, yeah? Okay, so I just want to address this cat here, Lazy Titan. What does he say? He says, just dancing while guys trying to make a decent point shows your immaturity. Who are you talking to, Titan?
He's talking about H Money.
I think is he? I thought he was talking about me because I was nodding my head to the music. Who are you talking to, Titan?
I think it'll be H Money, Raph. He was dabbing and all sorts.
Oh, okay. I thought he was talking about me. He was talking about mate. Okay, so H Money, have your say. Where are you? There you go. Have your say. Defend yourself, H Money. You're on.
You had put me on mute for a second, Raphie. I didn't know if you want me to speak or not. You know what I mean? I'm just being respectful.
Finish up your point.
I'm just being respectful, and you know, it's obvious, man. These guys, when it comes to black people getting hurt, getting killed innocently, like we always do, you know, since the beginning of time, they don't have nothing to say about it. Ring IQ, who's a white man, calling me nigga. You know what I mean? This is not fair, Raphie.
Over here.
This is not fair, Raphie. It's not fair. You know what I mean? I'm here to talk about boxing. I didn't mention any of this. You the one that said H Money was going on. I came here to talk boxing. You have his supporters who just came on the show just to defend him. He can't defend himself. Obviously, he's watching the show. He's watching everything that I do, and I stay on his mind because I'm winning at the end of the day. I'm winning. You know what, Raphie? Because I'm speaking facts, and I won't lose. I'm undefeated. You know what I mean? I will never lose. And Ring IQ, you're a bitch. I'm gonna knock you the fuck out, man. Let's fight. I sent you my location. Let's
fight. Okay. We can't have that, H Money. Thank you for sharing your point of view. But yeah, like I told you, H Money, you know, I gave you a chance over here. I told you to conduct yourself in a gentlemanly fashion. And
like an adult,
and I can't condone what you've done. I don't like false accusations. And I think what you did there, I think it was a false accusation, my friend. You talked about another guy previous to this guy, and that guy said it wasn't me. It was somebody who's a friend of mine. Fair enough. And I go to a couple of places that have a bad reputation for that kind of thing. Fair enough. I didn't say nothing about that. But this guy, this Ring IQ guy, no. I cannot condone what appears to me to be a false accusation in this instance, this last instance. Seems like a false accusation to me, bro. And everybody who's approached me on the topic, it seems like a false accusation to them. So H Money, no, I can't support that.
Yeah, Raphael, man, I was listening. I was listening to that stream, and you know, this guy literally just jumped on Ring IQ stream and just started saying, "Oh, you hate all black fighters. You hate Wilder. You hate Devin. You hate Andrade." He doesn't watch any of Ring IQ's content, like at all. If you watch his content, you would know that this guy actually is a big fan of Andrade, and he actually does like Devin Haney. So that's my whole thing. All he's doing is trolling. He's done this on multiple channels, including mine and others. He jumps on, he screams a bunch of rhetoric.
Okay, unbiased. You sound kind of
nonsense.
Yeah. Ralphie. Yes, unbiased. Thank you for that. Yes, Troy Graham. You'll say, my friend.
Let me jump in real quick. Now, the story that my son never died. I never told that man that. A while, just to speed this up, a while back he was looking to start his own thing, and he was looking for fighters. And I mentioned that I trained, and we had some conversations off the phone. I told him that, you know, some of the young men I've trained, they went back to the street, and one of them got killed. I never said my sons. I didn't. But even if I did tell you that, you don't bring those things up.
No.
You don't. I mean, you don't bring those things up because it has no place in this conversation. So that's just. Yeah. I mean, okay, listen. If I have an issue with you, I'm not going to go around A, B, C, D to find you. I'm going to find you directly. I'm going to say this to you, and whatever the consequences are, then we can deal with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
A confrontational person. I just don't back. I'm not into foolishness at this point. I'll be 49 in August. I don't have time for foolishness. What you just saw was foolishness. I understand the situation in Georgia. I really don't want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
If we could talk about it, and that's cool, because at the end of the day, all they do on that side over there is talk, and you can't build anything when all you're doing is preaching separation inside your own people. I mean, how many times I've been over there, I've been called a coon and Uncle Tom. And if they knew anything about history, Uncle Tom is actually a hero. Is Sambo,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
one who's the actual one they should be talking about, but they don't know history.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying? But let's move on, and let me make my comment about Dubois and Wilder, because I'm gonna have to leave in like 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, cool. Okay, so
Dubois,
So yeah, so get into it, Troy. Get into the Dubois thing.
Right. Okay. Wilder, at this point at time, if he's smart, which I'm sure his brain trust is smart, they will not put him in the ring, because there is no point in putting him in the ring with Daniel at this point, because, if he wins against Daniel, he gains what? If he loses against Daniel, that's one hell of a fall for him, right?
Yeah.
Now, and on top of that, and he's been boxing for 15 years. Can somebody tell me one puncher that he's fought? And what I mean by puncher, fight doctor, is not someone who, like a Ortiz, who could hurt you. Someone like a White, who could knock you out with one punch, which is what Daniel can do. Someone like a Chizorov, who could put you to sleep with one punch. That is a puncher. That is not someone who could punch. Okay, that's the difference. In 15 years, can someone name me one puncher that he's fought? And people talk about all this experience. Okay, name me the 3 fights where he fought a top 10 guy or top guy that he had to use all this experience he had, and that he learned something.
Okay.
Can somebody do that, please? Okay, now I'm going to be quiet.
Okay, so that was Troy Graham going straight over to the fight doctor.
So, I mean, are there any real punches in the heavyweight division outside of Deontay Wilder? I mean,
I'd say yes.
I mean,
but anyway,
who are these? All right, so these guys, who have they knocked out? Who have they one punch knocked out? I mean, one punch knocking out your garden variety tomato can, that doesn't make you a puncher. All right. So
I'm so glad you said that, because that actually is you talking about Wilder right there. But go on, fight doctor. I'm sorry.
But I mean, all right, so you want to make Dillian White or whomever, this big puncher. My question is, well, like I said, knocking out your garden variety tomato cans doesn't make you, George Foreman. It just doesn't.
Would you like me to answer, or you just want me to be quiet while you speak?
No, go ahead, please. I'm listening.
Okay. Well, he knocked out 2 people that have never been knocked unconscious before. One of them has never been knocked out, period. That was Brown, when he fought Brown for that fight he had with Brown was supposed to jump him into a fight with Wilder. He knocked him unconscious. Brown never been knocked out ever. Chizorov was never knocked unconscious. He was TKO'd, but that was from exhaustion. He knocked him unconscious. Those are 2 fighters he knocked unconscious. That's your answer.
Fight doctor.
Okay, so let me see him against the top 5 heavyweight. Then we can talk.
Okay, well, I tell you what, all you have to do is go to YouTube and put in put in their names, and you'll get to see what you see, sir.
Okay, but look, Wilder has knocked out top 5 heavyweights. So
Really?
Who?
Luis Ortiz was a top 5 heavyweight when
And I hope you're not calling that a one-punch knockout, because the only one-punch knockout he's got is against Arthur Spilker, who'd already been knocked out by Trevor Bryan, who is not a puncher.
Well, like I said, Deontay Wilder has knocked out top 5 heavyweights.
Who has he one-punch knocked out?
But that
normally takes an accumulation of punches for Wilder to knock someone out. It's normally after the 5th round, and it's frequently because his opponent is tired, as opposed to this amazing power that we've been told about. Most people that he gets the knockout from get back to their feet, including Brazil, who got back up off his feet and was told he couldn't continue. He wasn't counted out. The only one to actually get counted out is Arthur Spilker, who is a cruiserweight, who doesn't have good punch resistance and who'd been knocked out previously. And who, in the top 5, apart from Ortiz, is he knocked out? Because the other top 5 fighters he's fought are Stiverne, when Stiverne was champion, 12 rounds. Tyson Fury didn't knock him out in either fight.
Okay, so like I said, let me see one of your guys knock out a top 5 heavyweight, and then we can talk.
Well, all right. What about Anthony Joshua? He's knocked out multiple top 5 heavyweights.
Wait. Stop.
So you're telling me that Vladimir Klitschko was not in the top 5 when they fought?
Wait.
Are you going to say
Vladimir Klitschko's China Chin is renowned?
China Chin? Well, he managed to go how many years?
Chin. Wait a minute. How many times had Vladimir been knocked out prior to Anthony Joshua basically picking up sloppy thirds, sloppy fourths? What are you talking about?
If we're going to go down that route, how many people has Deontay Wilder knocked out who'd never been knocked out before?
Just Ortiz.
Yeah, and who's Ortiz fought? So I don't think you're on strong ground there, because there's plenty of people Joshua's knocked out who've never been knocked out.
I'm not the one here who's extolling the
You just said that Deontay Wilder is the only puncher in the heavyweight division.
No, I didn't say.
And you also said knocking out Conor Gardner, tomato cans.
The question was,
make you a puncher.
Wait.
That is what Deontay Wilder has been doing. He's been knocking out Conor Gardner.
You cannot put words in my mouth. All right?
That does not prove he's a puncher.
Wait, you cannot put words in my mouth. The question was, who are the punchers outside of Deontay Wilder in the heavyweight division? I didn't say that there weren't any. All right, so let's not put words in my mouth. All right, so if you want to quote me,
okay, Dillian White, Daniel Dubois, Anthony Joshua.
Now the follow up to my. Oh, okay, that's fine. Now the follow up to my statement was that these guys that our friend was extolling. Let me see them knock out a top 5 heavyweight, then we can talk.
Well, they have knocked out top 5 heavyweights, so that's the point. And Deontay Wilder hasn't either. He's knocked out one.
Okay, so first he has and then he hasn't. Now, which one is it?
Isn't the resume of a top 5 heavyweight fighter? He was avoided, and I am skeptical as to how good a fighter he is. However, I will allow you that one. And only the first time.
He's not that good.
So, like I said, let's see these other guys knock out some top.
I actually want to step back in if I could.
Hold on.
Could I step back in for a moment?
Hold on. Fight doctor, cut out there. Fight doctor.
No, I was just saying, let's see these other guys knock out a top 5 heavyweight, then we can talk. But look, listen, at the end of the day, Gennady Golovkin has made a whole career over knocking over tomato cans, right? But then I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm agreeing with that wholeheartedly, okay? However, Wilder has knocked out a top 5 heavyweight. Are you
seriously trying to say Vladimir Klitschko is not a top 5 heavyweight at the time Joshua fought him?
Wait a minute.
You're actually trying to make that claim. That's all I'm asking.
Please stop with this Vladimir Klitschko nonsense, okay? Look, context, okay? Context. I don't understand. When did knocking out Vladimir Klitschko become this lofty goal that everyone in boxing has aspired to all of a sudden? Hasn't it been done before?
When did knocking out Ortiz?
Hold on, though. I'll answer the Vladimir Klitschko question. It may have something to do with his long-time reign as heavyweight champion, yeah? And it may have during that period of time, no one knocked him out. It might have something to do with that fight, Doctor.
Nobody knocked him out. Who did he fight? I mean, listen.
Povetkin, by anyone's standards, is still in
if we need to dissect Vladimir Klitschko's resume, I'll be more than happy to. Okay.
We can go through his resume. I'm not saying it's an all-time resume, but you're suggesting that none of the other heavyweights have knocked out a top 5 heavyweight. And all I'm saying is Klitschko was in the top 5 when Joshua fought him. Are you disagreeing with
Wait,
that?
wait, hold on a second. Wait, listen. Klitschko, first and foremost, had been knocked out before multiple times.
So,
And his China chin is legendary.
He was top 5, though. Would you agree that Klitschko was top 5? Because that was your question.
He probably was.
So that
Okay, I listen. Wait, hold on a second. Wait, listen. Context is important, all right? And knocking out of Vladimir Klitschko at the end of his career, after it had been done 3 times before, I'm not particularly impressed. Okay?
9, 10 years.
I'm more impressed by Anthony Joshua having
I have to leave, gentlemen. Have a good day.
Stop Povetkin. He stopped Povetkin. He's the only person to ever do that. Any credit there, Fight Doctor?
I mean, I was never really particularly impressed with Povetkin.
Oh,
I mean,
but you're impressed with Ortiz. Come on, man.
Listen,
Come on, bro.
listen.
Come on.
Vlad gets credit.
Nobody else interrupt Fight Doctor. Let him finish, and then we go to unbiased.
Sure, Vlad gets credit for knocking out Povetkin. I give him credit for that. Okay, especially considering Povetkin was probably juiced to the gills. Okay, sure, but at the end of the day, listen, I'm more impressed with how Anthony Joshua was able to outbox Vladimir at times, and how he looked better against Vladimir minus the knockdown, as opposed to how Tyson Fury looked. Now, at the same time, yes, Vladimir was coming off the 18-month layoff and a loss. So, and he had been knocked out 3 times before. So, listen, if Anthony Joshua is going to receive all of these kudos for having knocked out Vladimir Klitschko, then I submit that Lamont Brewster is a top 10 heavyweight all time, okay, because he did it quicker than Anthony Joshua was able to do. So I'm not impressed. It's just I'm sorry, but knocking out Vladimir Klitschko is just not impressive. Okay,
did you say Lamont Brewster is one of the best heavyweights of all time?
No, that's not what I'm saying. My argument is, if knocking out Vladimir Klitschko is somehow this lofty goal that heavyweights aspire to achieve, that somehow crosses you crosses you over the burning sands to greatness, then Lamont Brewster is definitely a top 10 heavyweight all time, because he knocked out Vladimir Klitschko and did it more impressively than Anthony Joshua did.
Yeah, but nobody said that, though. Nobody said that knocking out Klitschko was a lot.
I think Fight Doctor just using that to undermine Joshua's achievement more than anything else.
Yeah.
Wait. Undermine his achievement. Listen, wait. It has to be put in context.
That's not context.
Joshua.
My turn, and then I'm biased. Fight Doctor, my turn now. You said, could you name any top 5 that these big hitters had knocked out? And John Didi said Vladimir Klitschko. And you agreed that Vladimir Klitschko is a top 5. So that's one. Another one is Povetkin. I'm not even going to go into his resume. Everybody knows Povetkin's resume. Ex-WBA world champion, gold medalist, Olympic gold medalist. Been in the sport now at the top level, been competing at the top level for over 10 years. So he has to be a top knockout. Nobody had ever knocked him out before. Anthony Joshua knocked him out. So Joshua's knocked out Klitschko, Vladimir Klitschko. He's knocked out Alexander Povetkin. Those are top knockout. Those are top wins. Going over to the patient, unbiased boxing.
Well, let me, go at what the Fight Doctor said. Charles Martin stopped Gerald Washington faster than Wilder, so Charles Martin is greater. Yeah, that logic. Anyways, my point is, we're talking about is Daniel Dubois ready for Deontay Wilder, right? That's the topic.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, as much as I do not like Deontay Wilder, I think that Daniel Dubois needs to develop a little bit more before I personally would have the confidence in him to go and beat Deontay Wilder right now. Mm-hmm. After he fights Joe Joyce, that's a good fight, and then possibly take another step up fight and see where you're at. You know what I'm saying? And we gotta let him develop, because I saw some things in the Larte fight that I mean, I didn't really like too much. You know, he did get rocked by that guy. And I mean, it happens. It's boxing, but we're talking about a big puncher like Deontay Wilder. So I think he just needs, honestly, just needs more time before he goes and jumps in there. But I will say, once he grooms his skill sets, I could see him beating Deontay Wilder. Yeah, you know, that's not out of the realm because we all know Deontay Wilder can't box. So yeah.
I just want to thank you for that. We're going over to the fight very, very shortly, folks, in a few minutes or so. But I want to put this to you, Fight Doctor. I want to put this to you. Dillian White knocked down Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker, who had never been dropped before. How do you rate that drop? How do you rate that?
Well, I mean, I don't really rate Joseph Parker. I've never been impressed by the guy. Okay, in fact, but that's most of the heavyweight division. So, like I said, you know, Gennady Golovkin has made a career out of knocking over tomato cans. That doesn't necessarily make him a big puncher. Every time he stepped up in opposition, the fight went 12 rounds. You know, Danny Jacobs, Derenchenko, I think his last name is, the two fights with Canelo Alvarez. So, yeah, knocking over tomato cans does not make you a big puncher. It just doesn't. You know, let me see you.
Are you calling Joseph Parker a tomato can?
No, I'm saying that I've never been impressed. That's what I'm saying, and I'm saying
So
that.
I got a question. Can I ask you something, Fight Doctor? Or how are you impressed by Luis Ortiz?
How am I impressed by Luis Ortiz?
Yeah, because he knocked over a bunch of tomato cans as well.
I agree. There's no question. Okay, listen, the heavyweight division at the end of the day is littered with tomato cans. Listen, the heavyweight division is bad. All right, it is. We're not looking at the division of the 90s. We're certainly not looking at the division of the 70s. Okay, it's bad. Littered with tomato cans. I'm just not impressed with it. Now, having said that, I think Luis Ortiz, all right, is a quality fighter.
Based on what?
Based on the landscape at heavyweight. All right, he's one of the best of a bad bunch. Now, am I going to confuse the guy with Larry Holmes? No, I'm not. By no means.
What fight of Luis Ortiz you were like, oh yeah, this is the guy? What fight was that?
Honestly, Deontay Wilder.
Bruh.
He was beating Wilder. Had him hurt.
Who is not beating Wilder though? Come on, man.
How many guys have had Deontay Wilder hurt outside of Tyson Fury?
Okay, Gerald Washington was beating Deontay Wilder, bro.
How many guys have had Deontay Wilder hurt?
Eric Molina. You remember that?
That's not.
So Eric Molina is great. He's a good fighter of this. He's good too, huh?
I'm not calling Eric Molina a good fighter at all. Okay, not one bit. Right. But listen, at the end of the day, all right. And look, I have a bias towards Cuban fighters. Okay, I do, because I just like the Cuban style. All right. But at the end of the day, I consider Luis Ortiz at the time that he fought Wilder the first time, top 5 heavyweight. All right, and I think that was a legit and fair ranking, and I think that was a good win. And a lot of these guys in the heavyweight division, I'm just not impressed.
Who's Deontay Wilder? I didn't want to talk about Deontay Wilder specifically too much, although it's part of the thing. But who would you say, Fight Doctor? I know you got a broad back. You can take the talking. So who would you say was Deontay Wilder's top three wins? He was champ for 5 years. So who would you say is his top 3? As a matter of fact, why don't we go for one a year? He's a champ for 5 years. Why don't we go? No, top 3 wins. Top 3 wins. That's reasonable. It's a reasonable question. Just top 3. Who were Deontay Wilder's top 3 wins, Fight Doctor?
I would argue his top 3 wins were Ortiz, Stavern, and
Spilka?
No, I was not. No, hell no.
Brazil?
I would argue. I'm trying to remember what kind of condition was. What's his name? The guy from California. What's his name?
Chris Arreola?
Areola. What
Washington.
kind of condition was Areola in?
Oh, no.
Brazil or Washington?
Areola.
Chris
Areola. Areola was sharp. That's about the best way to describe his condition.
Because at one point in his career, Areola did show promise, but I don't
He was
recall.
far removed from that point in his career by the time Deontay Wilder fought him. And to be fair to Deontay Wilder, I'm pretty certain he was on a comeback from a few surgeries. So it was a bit of a give me fight, in my opinion. And he managed to break his hand again in that fight.
Okay, so I would say, good points being made all around the table. I would say that Anthony Joshua's top 3 wins. Remember, he's been a professional for far less time than Deontay Wilder. I would say his top 3 wins for me would be Vladimir Klitschko, Vladimir Klitschko, ex-world champion, Alexander Povetkin, ex-world champion, and Luis Ortiz. Andreas Stepanz Ruiz, and Andy Ruiz. I would say that's Joshua's top 3 wins. So we got Klitschko, we got Povetkin, and then we got Ruiz, all seasoned. Even Andy Ruiz is a seasoned veteran. All seasoned veterans. And that goes against Spilka. Who was the other one? Spilka, Areola, and that goes against Spilka, Areola, and Luis Ortiz. I think there's really fight. I don't think there's any competition in terms of the quality of wins when you look at Joshua versus Wilder.
Okay, I listen. I wouldn't necessarily argue that Wilder has beaten the better opposition. I would say.
You mean AJ?
I'm sorry, my apologies.
Yeah.
No. I said I wouldn't argue that Wilder has beaten better opposition than AJ. Let me clarify myself.
Mm-hmm.
So you think Wilder had, or no?
No, he's saying he wouldn't argue that Wilder has beaten.
Right. I would not argue that Wilder has beaten. Listen, Wilder's resume. Once you get outside of Fury and Ortiz, Wilder's resume is weak. It is.
Wilder's resume is weak.
Yeah, it is. All right. Now, that actually applies to Joshua too. Because once you get outside of Klitschko and Povetkin, Joshua's resume is equally weak.
You got Dillian White.
No. We have to talk about that. If that's what you're saying, Fight Doctor, we have to talk about that. If you're suggesting that Anthony Joshua's resume is weak, then that's a big topic in itself. We have to give that a few minutes. And I'll go first. Joshua's been a professional for just over half the time that Deontay Wilder has. That's 1. 2, I'm very forgetful. I need to write this down. Half the time. Okay, so Joshua's been a professional for just over half the time that Deontay Wilder has, or around half the time, around there or thereabouts. That's 1. So you'd expect him to have lesser wins in half the time. You'd expect, okay, that's very simple. Well, that's 1. 2, Joshua has achieved much more than Wilder in half, even though he's fought half the time as a professional that Deontay Wilder has. So, and I think we have to achieve more. I will substantiate this, don't worry. Achieved more. Okay, so Joshua has fought a number of champions, beat a number of champions, and he has beat, that's reigning champions, and he has beat a number of ex-champions. He's beat around 2 or 3 reigning champions, and at least 3 reigning champions and at least 2 ex-champions in Povetkin and Klitschko. So that's 2 achieved more in lesser time. Okay, 3 achieved more in lesser time. Do I want to go to a 3? Oh, has better wins. Let me write this down. I'm very forgetful. Better wins than Wilder. So there are three markers there. 3 markers there that I have where I have to disagree with your assessment that both of their resumes are weak. I put it to you, Fight Doctor, that beating the likes of Vladimir Klitschko, a Alexander Povetkin, an early Dillian White, and Andy Ruiz. I put it to you, the Fight Doctor, that those wins are better wins than Wilder can conjure up. So I'm keeping it short, I'm keeping it brief. Those are my 3 points. Better wins. Okay, and I'm going over to John D. Lee. You will get your right to reply, Fight Doctor, hand tight. John D. Lee, do you wish to contradict the Fight Doctor?
I mean, I think Joshua's all-round resume is stronger than Wilder's.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've outlined the points quite nicely there. I think fighting the other champions has value.
Yeah,
it's something that he went out of his way to do. Having the better resume doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win the fights when they happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, ultimately, I just want to see them all fight still. I still want to see AJ fight Wilder, and I still want to see AJ fight Fury.
Mm-hmm.
I think AJ's got a better resume than Fury. You can have the counter argument Fury's got the better wins. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to decide the outcome of the fight. I just want to see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, very succinct and to the point. Fight Doctor, you have your right to reply.
So as far as Fury and Joshua are concerned, it's really night and day in terms of who has the better resume. Fury's resume pisses and shits all over Joshua's resume. It's not even close, to be completely honest with you. Okay, it's just not.
Over Joshua's? So what does it do over Wilder's?
It pisses and shits on his too. Okay, there's no question. All right, but now as far as Wilder and Joshua is concerned,
I disagree with that. I disagree with that, Fight Doctor, because Wilder has fought Vladimir Klitschko, fine. I mean Vitaly Klitschko, excuse me, and he beat him, fine. Didn't knock him out or anything of that nature. And he fought an unproven Deontay Wilder. We don't know how good or how bad Deontay Wilder is because many of us have suspected that he's bad. Many of us have suspected that he's bad, but he never fought anyone who could really show that. Never fought anyone who could really show that. And the first time he fought a premier guy who was not over 40, who was not, some people say 50. The first time he did that, he got stopped. Back to you. My interruption. Sorry.
No worries. So now, listen. If we're going to consider overall resume, then losses figure into that equation. And again, Deontay Wilder has knocked out all the tomato cans he's faced. He hasn't gotten knocked out by a tomato can, unlike Anthony Joshua. So again, if we're going to extol all the virtues of Anthony Joshua's wins, well, we also have to factor in getting knocked out in 6 or 7 rounds by a tomato can in Andy Ruiz. All right, that's missing from Deontay Wilder's resume. So what about
Andy Ruiz, the tomato can? Is that what you said?
Didn't the man lose to Joseph Parker? I mean, come on, seriously. Listen, wait. So I would really like for someone to look up what were the odds on the first Joshua Ruiz fight, because that right there would tell you the whole of the story of what the betting public thought about that fight. And listen, whatever the betting public says, I'll go along with that. Whatever they say, and I'm sure that the odds were lopsided in Joshua's favor. All right, and you get knocked out by a guy who is the definition of underdog. So that figures. So look, we can talk about how Anthony Joshua knocked out Vladimir Klitschko, how Anthony Joshua knocked out Povetkin, how he knocked out whomever. It don't matter. Okay, that's fine. But he got knocked out by a tomato can. And that's what I'm calling Andy Ruiz, tomato can.
You are calling.
Hey, listen, wait. Andy Ruiz was a replacement. He wasn't even the original guy who was supposed to fight. Okay, Joshua was supposed to fight Gerald Miller. All right, but Gerald Miller got caught doping. They brought in Ruiz as a last-minute replacement, and he winds up knocking out Anthony Joshua. That's not a good look. So we're going to talk.
You're calling Andre the Punch Ruiz a tomato can.
I'm calling Andy Ruiz a late replacement tomato can. The betting public didn't even consider this guy, and you get knocked out by a guy who essentially was not even supposed to be in the ring with you, essentially. Okay, because if Andy Ruiz was supposed to have been in the ring with Anthony Joshua, then he would not have been a replacement. He would have been the first guy they tapped for the fight, but that wasn't the case. This guy was a replacement. You get knocked out by the substitute teacher. That's what happened. Okay, so now we're going to talk about Anthony Joshua, this, that, and the other. Then let's talk about getting knocked out by the substitute teacher. All right, let's talk about that. Let's factor that into his overall body of work. Because you guys have been going on and on about how Deontay Wilder
is. I'm quite happy to talk about this subject.
But listen, you guys have been going on and on about Deontay Wilder this, Deontay Wilder that. But when we look at his record, the only guy he has a loss to is the number one heavyweight and the lineal heavyweight champion, the guy who has the best resume in the heavyweight division. That's who he loses to. There's actually no shame in Deontay Wilder. There's actually no shame in Deontay Wilder having lost to Tyson Fury. Because Tyson Fury.
Talk about the Andy Ruiz loss then.
Fury hasn't got the best resume, but carry on, John Dealey.
Well, I'm quite happy that if you're going to put that against his wins, and that's your argument that Fury has a better resume, I can see that as a logical argument with now coming down to what you like, because Fury's got what most people would consider to be the better wins. I personally think that Wilder was a loss waiting to happen, but Fury did it, so he can have the credit for it. He beat Vlad away, so he can have the credit for that. Those are arguably two better wins, and he's undefeated. He's got a draw. It's the only blemish on his record. So if that's your basis for Fury having a better resume, it's reasonably logical. Is Tyson Fury the number one heavyweight in the world? He's not the lineal champion. I don't think we've got time to go over that debate. But the facts are, Cyberzone consider him to have won the lineal championships, but there's multiple other people that monitor the lineal championship who don't recognize Vladimir Klitschko as the lineal champion. So that's something that we'd have to. It's a separate debate in itself. Outside of Klitschko and Wilder, Fury's resume suddenly goes downhill a lot, and the next best name is Chisora, which is respectable, but it's not amazing. So it depends what you like. The Joshua loss to Ruiz was bad. It's a bad look. He's gone on and come back from it. And I think, in all fairness, there's still going to be questions about Anthony Joshua's resilience and chin until he gets into a hard fight. And they need answering. So we'll see what happens. Mm-hmm. As for Wilder, this argument about Golovkin can be equally applied to Wilder. Because really, Ortiz is outside at best top 5 heavyweight because he's never proved it on any level. At any stage of Luis Ortiz's career, has he done anything to suggest that he's in the top 5? If you watch his fights against David Allen, against Tony Thompson, and against Malik Scott, they were terrible performances. And he's been poor against fighters following on from the Wilder loss. So really, the two top 5 fighters that he's fought, he hasn't knocked out, and that's Stiverne and Fury. So the direct comparison between Wilder and Golovkin is a very good comparison. They're both knocked out to mortal cans, which doesn't prove that they're punchers. And when they've stepped up, they've been found wanting. I mean, I'll give him credit for beating a slow-footed, stationary target with a jab against Stiverne. But that's all he was able to do. So if you really look into how good Wilder is, it does take a bit away from how good Fury's win is. However, he hasn't got the losses. So if that's your argument, then it's a fair argument. I don't agree with it, but at least it's got some logic behind it.
Okay, so we're going back to the fight, Doctor, before we head over to the fights, I think. Yeah, fight, Doctor.
So, yeah, I'm not particularly impressed with the heavyweight division as is. It's just not, the top 3 guys, one of them is severely limited. One of them has a questionable mental state, and the other one is a cokehead. So, and look, I think there's some exciting fights that can be made in the heavyweight division. And I think when, you have a combination like what you have now of guys who have these limitations, certainly there's the opportunity for some memorable fights to be made. And I'm looking forward to the Fury Joshua fight. I would like to see that. I think that's a competitive fight. I think it can go either way. But again, I'm not once you get outside of the top 3, I'm not terribly impressed by the heavyweight division. It's just, it's shit. It's been shit for a very long time, and I'm just wondering, when are the Americans going to wake up and clean this mess up?
Okay, I think the drums tell me we've come to the end of that section. Okay, so just to remind everybody, it's been kind of hectic. It's been a hectic little 1 hour since we started. Yeah, feel free to go ahead and smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you're here and you haven't subscribed. You're a non-subscriber, but you enjoy the fare that we bring to you. Then kindly hit that subscribe button. And don't forget the super chat button is right there just by where you're typing right now. Don't be afraid of the super chat button if you're enjoying what you're hearing. Okay, so where are we now? I think we've rounded up everything nicely. Everybody's made their points. My point is that Anthony Joshua has done more than Deontay Wilder in half the time. He's achieved more. He's fought more champions, more reigning champions than Deontay Wilder. He's fought more ex-champions. Ex-champions than Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. And he has better wins than Wilder. Tyson Fury, he has 2 wins over reigning champions, which may, in your estimation, trump Joshua's 3 wins over reigning champions. But Joshua's fought more ex-champions than Tyson Fury. And Joshua has stuck around, has had no time off, 3 years off. Joshua has not tested positive for any PEDs, unlike Tyson Fury. And when you put that all together, out of the 3 kings, for me, Anthony Joshua stands atop. There are alternative arguments, and you have heard those alternative arguments. But that, for me, that's my rationale. That's my working out. I've shown you my workings. So it's not just me saying something. I've shown you 1, 2, 3. 1, the time. Joshua's had less time than the others. 2, he's achieved more, fought more champions, more ex-champions and 3 better wins than Wilder, and arguably better wins overall than Fury 2. Okay, that's my position. You've heard the Fight Doctor's position. You've heard John Daly's position. And so I just want to address, I'm getting these notifications. I thought I muted all of that shizzle. I just want to address a few things, a few things in the chat. Let me see what catches my eye. IXI Cold says, how do you, says hi, how do you do? Who else? Who else? Joshua fought more old men than anyone. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. When you look at his wins, when you look at his top wins, he's got more than, in my opinion, than Wilder and Fury. Well, it's not just an opinion. I think we've shown that. Certainly than Wilder. Fury, questionable, but I still give the edge to Joshua on that. And plus, he wasn't on the couch for 2.5 years. Let me go and see if I can see anything else that catches my eye before we head over to the fights. I want to say a big shout out to John Daly and the Fight Doctor still on the panel. Big shout out to Troy Graham and Unbiased, who dropped off. And of course, we had the conversation earlier on with HMO9. Let me see if anything catches my eye before we switch over. At the end of the day, Fury hasn't been KO'd by... At the end of the day, Fury hasn't been KO'd by a midget fat guy, but his resume is garbage, other than his wins over Klitschko, Vitali, and yeah, he stopped Wilder, but Wilder had been avoiding Joshua, avoiding White, so you know, I reckon you don't know what would have happened if he fought those. He could have got took out. He could have won against those guys, or he could have got took out earlier against those guys. I suspect the latter. Mr. Spooks, don't go. Don't go. Stick around. Don't go nowhere. We got a fight. We got a big fight coming up. It's like being at the movies. Okay. Can somebody tell him what Ortiz has achieved to be a top 10? Was it the Malik Scott fight? Yeah. Doctor. Yeah. It's a big question mark. It's a mystery. Was it Malik Scott or was it Christian Hammer? Was it Christian Hammer? I don't know. I don't know. Who else was it? Okay. So I think we've got through everything. What else? Wallin is a good all-rounder. I would love to see him fight again. We never heard of Wallin. That's the point. We never heard of Wallin. I'm listening here. Yeah, good man, good man. Okay, so I think we've achieved what we wanted to achieve. We chopped up what we wanted to chop up, and very good discussion. Very good discussion. So now is the time. Now is the time for us to go and get into some fights. So let me line this baby up. Let me line this up. What are we looking at here? What are we looking at here? Okay, I think we're gonna have to do this. I think we're gonna have to do it this way. Which way around am I gonna go? Which way around am I gonna go? Okay, I know which way around we're gonna go. I'm gonna change our mind. That's the beauty of this thing. That's the beauty of this thing. You can change your mind at the last moment. So let me put the details in. Let me drop the details in. Let's take that out and add this. Boom, boom, and show. Okay, the mystery is out of the bag. We're watching Evander Holyfield, real deal, realer than real deal Holyfield versus Lennox Lewis 1. When was the last time you watched this fight, The Fight Doctor?
Oh man, last time I was thinking about robbing a bank because this was a Brinks job. Oh my God, this is just ridiculous.
Who's lazy? Who's lazy till this day? You lazy till this day. I don't know. I was lazy. I put the work in, bro. Don't you see me grinding? Don't you see me grinding? Okay. So where are we? Yeah, John D. Lee. When was the last time? Well, don't tell me yesterday. You're gonna say something like this morning. I'm not going to ask you that question.
There's no need to ask me these sort of questions, right?
I'm not going to ask you that question because he loves to watch these old fights. It's probably like 10 minutes ago. But anyway, the last time I watched this fight was probably when it happened. No, I'm not being serious. It was a good few years ago, though. I haven't seen this fight in a long time. I selected it. I pressed the start of it to make sure it started when it's supposed to start, and I watched the end of it. Well, not even the end, but the fight announcement, the winner's announcement at the end for a few seconds. So I haven't watched the fight. I haven't watched this fight for probably 10 years. Crap fight. Is it a crap fight? Is the first fight a crap fight? Really?
If anything, if you take the result out, I'd say it's better than the second fight.
Yeah, I don't think it's a crap fight.
I think that's just being coloured by what happened on the scorecards, rather.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about the scorecards yet because not everybody knows. Just because we know, there's some virgins in here, out there. Sorry, not here, out there. There's some virgins out there. Can't forget about the virgins. Got to take our time with the virgins. I watched the fight about a year ago. Okay, well, you're better than me then because I ain't watched it in years. Okay, so you know what? It's time to get into it. It's no more messing around. No more messing around. I ain't seen this for a while, and I'm looking forward to it. What's this here? What's that there? What's that there? There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff. Okay, let's close some windows. Don't want no crashing. Okay, without much further ado, let's line this baby. Hold on a second. What am I doing here? If anybody wants to jump in last minute, we got space. We got space for one more. Space for one more. Space for one more. It's in the chat. Okay, so let me share my screen. Yeah, boom. That's the one. Boom. Make it fill the screen. Boom. Okay. So, where are we? Yeah, are you seeing that? Okay. You see the still picture of the fight? Okay.
No, I can see it fine.
Okay. Okay. So, what we're looking at here. Let me get that off my. What the hell happened there? Close that. Okay. So let me just talk a little bit about this. What else? Well, it's got no info, got no intel. So this fight occurred. What year was this? Let me just pull up the bio. The background bio. What is that there? What can we see on the screen? Okay, so we're good on the screen. Let me pull up the bio. Okay, Holyfield Lewis won. Let's just pull up the bio on that. Okay, so Evander Holyfield versus Lennox Lewis was billed as for undisputed. It was a professional boxing match contested on March the 13th, 1999. Damn, 1999. For the WBA, WBC, IBF, and Lineal Heavyweight Championship. So 1999 for the lineal, for everything, all the marbles for all the belts, every belt. And with that, I think we can go on ahead. We can go on ahead and get into the fight. Okay, so without much further ado, press play. I think we're gonna do this in real time. I think we're gonna watch this fight in real time. And that's one of the first things I remember about this fight. One of the first things I remember about this fight was that Lennox Lewis's team kind of had to fight their way. They had to fight their way to the ring. I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing. Are you seeing Lennox Lewis walk towards the ring now? Are you seeing that? Or is it the time delay? It's a time lag on YouTube. Okay, he's walking. Okay. Throws me a little bit. I press play and you don't see anything for 10 seconds, 15 seconds. It's kind of crazy. The time delay from here at the Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio headquarters to what you see on your screen. It's like a 15-second time delay. It's kind of ridiculous. But anyway, it is what it is. I understand why it is. YouTube has a time delay on it for a reason. And I remember this fight. I remember this literally having to fight their way. There was this, not this guy. There was another big, there he is, somewhere around here. He's causing a ruckus. They're trying to get the flag. He's trying to take the flag off him. Where is he? Where's he fighting? Who's he fighting? This guy here. This guy here. Problematic. There he's trying to him. This one. Watch him. Watch him. Causing problems with people. Pushing and shoving. I remember this. I remember this clearly. He's been pushed around. He's getting pushed back. He's getting pushed back. Lennox's brother pointing at him. There's Lennox's brother there. Look at the argy-bargy. Who's this? What's this? What's going on? There's a lot of argy-bargy going on. I remember this very distinctly. A lot of argy-bargy. A lot of argy-bargy. Okay. Yeah, guys, come in as you see fit. Fight doctor. Am I alone?
No, I'm here.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll be honest. This fight underscores.
People don't know the result though, so yeah, cool.
No, I'm not gonna give away the result. But this fight underscores how corrupt the sport of boxing is. Mm-hmm. I mean, this should go down as one of the legendary robberies.
Yeah.
In the sport of boxing. I mean, this is just criminal. I mean, when somebody says like somebody should have gone to jail over this decision, well, that could be applied to this fight literally. Mm-hmm. Like somebody should have, they should have been like, look, I remember when the feds raided the IBF and put the president of IBF in the federal penitentiary. That should have happened here for this fight.
Yeah, I spoke about that to Rick Glazer when we had him on a couple of weeks back. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, because this was just criminal.
It was. Well, yeah. But we're not going to talk about the result. We're just going to talk about the thing as we remember it. We'll talk about the result at the end of it. John D. Lee.
Well, the one thing we haven't talked about is the fact that this...
like Evander Holyfield singing his lungs out there, right there. By the way.
This was for the undisputed. This was an undisputed fight. I think that's why passions are so high.
Yeah.
Evander's got 2 of the titles. Mm-hmm. We'd seen Evander lose and win them back.
Yeah.
Evander's definitely past his peak. Wait, is he 36 in this fight? Pretty certain he's about 36.
Okay, 36, yeah. 36.
Yeah.
Around that age.
And what's Lennox? Lennox is about 30, isn't he?
Where is my records here? So
Lennox is a bit older than that as well, isn't he?
Lennox retired when he was 13, just before he was 38. I can't do it, Vincent Grant, can't do it.
Okay, you can't let him talk.
Can't do it, Vincent Grant, because it sounds like you're standing next to a coffee percolator in a cafe. You see what I'm saying? You got a serious problem. You got a serious problem with your mic, with your setup there, Vincent Grant. So I can't do it. We just heard that. Sorry about that. Once you sort your setup out, then please jump on. Yeah, John D. Lee, as you were saying.
So now the Lennox is about, he's either 33 or 34. But Lennox seemed to improve with age. I think it's got more to do with the fact that he relied on his brain over it. I mean, he got great physical attributes, but Lennox's best attribute was, his brain.
Yeah.
So he kind of got better with age. And I think he benefited from that in this fight. I think Evander, when he was young, had ridiculous speed and agility. And he lost quite a lot of that with the move up to heavyweight for me.
So I would add to Lennox's attributes, in addition to his brain, would be that amazing right hand.
Yeah, that's definitely
Great right hand, definitely in there.
Definitely a part of it. I think, but the brain was numero uno. They had him as the chess player. What is this here? What is that? Oh, okay. I see what I'm looking at. Yeah, they had him down as the chess player. They said he was cerebral. Some argued he might have been a bit too cerebral. But what I say to anybody who says he was too cerebral, look at him now. He's still talking better than both Evander and Riddick Bowe, because he used his brain. Fight doctor. He used his brain.
No question.
He used his brain to keep his brains. How's about that one?
No question. Listen, Lennox's defense is actually very underrated. He was very good defensively.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only thing that really defeated Lennox was actually his own brain when he was complacent.
Yeah.
And I think that was borne out by the fact that he got revenge on every time he lost.
Every time he lost, he came back and brought it. Well, took care of it. Knocked the guy out.
Not both times, Raph.
Sorry?
Well, the first one's a TKO, really, isn't it? It's not really a knockout.
Who's the first one?
McCall.
Oh. No, that was a knockout. Yeah. I mean, you have to go back and so technically it was a TKO, but Lewis was out. And if you just look at
no. The revenge match, fight doctor.
Second fight.
Oh, yeah. So,
yeah. No, Lennox got knocked out twice.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that was due to complacency more than ability.
Mm-hmm.
So his brain was his best weapon and his worst attribute at the same time.
Yeah, so we got 14 years ring experience here for Evander Holyfield, 39 fights, 217 rounds. This is 1999, March, I believe. Evander Holyfield is singing. He's constantly singing. Do you think he was nervous, fight doctor? I never seen him sing like this before. He's singing his lungs out.
So honestly, when I watched the fight, I actually watched the night it broadcast live. This is a pay-per-view. And I thought the singing was a bit strange because normally when Holyfield walks to the ring, he would walk to the ring with this scowl on his face as if he were ready to, tear somebody a new asshole, which is often what he did.
Mm-hmm.
So like this walking to the ring with, singing, I thought it was a bit out of character. And I immediately became suspicious of his condition.
Yeah.
I thought that there was something wrong.
Well, he looked in great condition as per usual to me, but the singing, I remember I was laughing at that. I said, what the hell is he singing for? What the hell is he singing for? To me, it was very, very odd. But anyway.
I'm not too sure there's anything wrong with Vander's physical condition.
No.
Because he gets all the way through the fight.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was nervous. I think there's a lot riding on this.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody steps in the ring against Lennox and is 100% confident.
Mm-hmm. And we are off. It's the first round. Lennox Lewis versus Evander Holyfield 1. It's a 12-rounder. Madison Square Gardens. And we're off, mate. We're off.
We've already seen a nice right hand from Lennox.
Yeah.
And some good defensive work. He's stepping back out of the way of the punches quite nicely.
Nice left hook in there. And right to the ribs of Evander Holyfield. And again. And then tries a left hook, but just shoves him off. Nice jab.
So right now,
carry on.
Lewis has Holyfield at his range. He has Holyfield where he wants him to be, and Holyfield's having a little bit of a problem with Lewis's jab.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both vying to get dominant with left hand. I think I'll give Evander a bit of credit for actually catching the jab. I think it's delaying Lennox's punches. So I actually think that's quite a good tactic, the fact that he keeps catching it with his glove. It's allowed him to slip the right hand as well. Evander's always been good at catching punches. Parrying is one of Evander's skills as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but this is not where Holyfield needs to be.
No, it's not where he wants to be.
But
it is at least stopping the right hand from just being able to go at will.
Yeah.
If you watch what Evander's doing, his head movement's good. He's catching the jab nicely, and what he's not able to do is get inside effectively. That's the problem. And the sort of looping overhand right he's throwing is just too telegraphed.
Okay, the jab again from Lennox Lewis. Jab. No. I'm ahead of you. I'm not even. I need to watch on the right screen. I think I just heard a pop. Okay. Troy Graham's come back in. Troy Graham, we're watching Lennox versus Holyfield 1. You're muted. Okay, the clinching there.
Hold on a second, Raphie. I'm going to use my headphones, see if I get better signal.
Okay. Damn, what happened there?
Evander picked him up and dumped him. And we had a bit of a conversation about this the other day. I think often Evander needed to show the other people at heavyweight that he was the physically stronger man, even though he's often smaller.
You think he's the physically stronger man here?
I think there's a good chance if it comes down to lifting weights and that type of thing. I'd say, yeah, there's a good chance that he was. He just picked Lennox up without any trouble.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily translate to punching power.
Lennox was a tremendously strong guy.
I'm not disputing Lennox's strength, but
such long levers. But remember, we were marking this fight. fight.
Yeah, that was a fairly comfortable Lennox win.
Okay, so that's 10-9 to Lennox Lewis. I think.
Yeah, 10-9. I've got that.
Right, Doctor. How'd you mark that?
Yeah. So I mean, there wasn't actually a lot of action in that round, but Lewis was basically controlling the pace, dictating the action for the most part. A couple of spurts of action from Holyfield, but yeah, Lewis round.
Yeah, Lewis round, 10-9. Okay, so what's going on here? Okay.
So now there's more of Lewis becoming the aggressor, dictating the pace.
Yeah.
Making the fight, being the ring general.
Lovely jab.
Oh yeah, another underrated part of his game was the jab.
Well,
now, at this point, he's essentially showing Evan Holyfield no respect.
No respect. Big rights. 1, 2, 3, kind of glancing, but still. Look, Evander knows he's in a fight here. But I think he knew before he came in with all that singing, all that, the gospel songs, singing gospel songs when he walked in, like he was marching.
I think there were nerves, to be fair. I think Emmanuel Stewart's got to have a lot of credit for Lennox's jab. Before he moved over to Emmanuel, his jab was a bit sloppy. But that's one of the things about old crunk fighters is they tend to have a good jab.
Yeah.
And Lennox definitely got a much better jab with me.
He's bossing this second round so far. 1 minute 42.
Yeah, it's all Lewis. I mean, Holyfield isn't doing anything but just basically catching punches and retreating, eating jabs. And that's it. That's all he's doing.
He ate a nice jab there, that's for sure. Did Evander?
Yeah, yes, he did.
He ate that up. Ate that up like a wagon wheel.
I think one of the things that people might not realize about the way Lennox is throwing the jab as well, because he's throwing a low jab, it's harder for Evander to actually close the distance and get in. Because if he ducks down, he's right at the level of Lennox's left, and he can just hit him.
Yeah, yeah.
And against shorter fighters, if you've got a good reach and height advantage, holding your left hand low is actually
right there. Lewis just touched him with the right hand.
Again,
missed over the top. But again, Lewis showing himself to be the ring general, dictating the pace, making the fight. Oh, nice body shot. Nice body shot.
He's got the greater volume and greater accuracy in this round. And he's also controlling where the fight's happening. So, I mean, all Evander's really doing is surviving.
Freddie Mars said, so nostalgic. I feel like I'm 20 again watching this fight. Yeah,
So that's a Lewis round easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More so than the first for me, but still a 10-9 round for Lewis.
Yeah, Lewis round.
John?
Yeah, I've got that as a 10-9 round. I mean, there's not a lot you can really say that Evander did in that round at all, really. Even him catching it, the jab wasn't really throwing Lennox off his rhythm now. Lennox has got used to it.
Yeah, that's right.
See there, Lennox actually put his hand down underneath the catch and then picked it up to throw it as a jab.
Yeah.
So Lennox is reading his parries now. See?
So I like the way how Lewis is confusing him with the jab. He sticks it out there and Holyfield doesn't knock it down or move it away. He just sort of like lets Lewis let it linger out there. Then he hits him with it. I don't understand why does Holyfield allow him to do that. It's stupid.
Lennox straight to work in this round as well. He's jabbing the head and the body.
Yeah.
And he must be getting so it's like an overhand right that's going down that he's throwing. He's getting all of his upper body behind it and bending into it.
Down with boom. Boom. Very clever jab. Very clever jab. He'll put it out there. Oh, nice right over the top.
Hand.
Yeah, nice right over the top.
He really sort of buries his legs into that right hand over the top. And because he's noticed that Evander's good at parrying, he's hitting the glove and then quickly jabbing his head to confuse him.
That's what I mean. He's got nice. He's mixing up the jab nicely. He'll throw it sometimes, and then sometimes he'll half throw it. Let Evander catch it, and then he'll bring it back, recoil a little bit, and boom, into the face.
And he's doing that because
Evander with the head work there, a little bit of head work. Third round, definite head work I saw there to the left side of boom, fire exchange.
So now this is what Evander needs to be doing.
Yeah.
This right here.
Yeah.
Make it a dog fight. Stay close to him and stay on his ass like white on rice. This is exactly what he needs to be doing.
Yeah. Boom, boom, double jab, another jab, boom.
And Lennox, one thing I would say there is he's showing a lack of savvy in being able to turn his man.
Well, he half turned him, but didn't quite.
Yeah,
I'll counter that by saying that Evander is quite savvy himself. So, he's not the easiest guy to out savvy. 1, 2, 3, 4, left, right, left, right. Evander ain't no joke.
You know my thoughts on Evander.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan.
Absolutely.
But Evander's definitely coming into this round a lot better.
Coming into it, definitely. But
we're getting some nice infighting in spurts from Lennox is throwing the uppercut.
Oh,
Boom, boom.
He's getting
Boom.
hooks in there and uppercuts now.
Yeah, this is very tight. This is a very tight round. Boom, boom. But Lennox is outscoring him. He's outscoring him, I think.
I think, yeah,
Boom,
it
boom.
probably is. And Lennox is showing some good inside fighting, which is difficult for a man with his sort of reach.
Right, left. Look at the punch variation. Right, left. Right uppercut. As Evander falls in. That's a tough round.
that's a close round. I think maybe I would give it to Holyfield, but by a hair. But I could see it going the other way.
It's a swing. It's definitely a swing round.
I'm going to go ahead and give that one to Holyfield by a hair.
Yeah, I'll give it to Holyfield as well.
Okay. So
But again, it's a swing round. It's not a clear round for him, is it?
a swing round. If anybody chooses opposite, then that ain't no problem because it was very close. I just don't want to be too harsh on Evander. Don't want to be too harsh on him, but really, that could have gone either way. I'm going to go with Evander for that one.
I think we're consistent on all cards at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah. What does Wild Soul say? Wilder knocks both of these guys out.
Yeah, not likely.
Oh,
Not likely.
Yeah. All right.
I'm going to assume that's a joke. I'm going to assume that's a joke. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget the super chat button is there at your disposal, should you so wish to use it. Okay, we're in the fourth round. Evander Holyfield versus Lennox Lewis.
Lennox is just dominating with the jab at the moment.
Yes.
He's doubling it and tripling it, and he's landing.
And then he's coming in with a lead right sometimes, just to mix it up. Just for fun.
Lennox has a good lead right.
He does. Jab to the body from Evander. Double jab, well, two jabs. Just touching.
He's feinting with it as well, and it's just completely throwing Evander off.
It's just
Evander's just not throwing at all.
It's just such a mixture. He's just mixing it up so much. Evander's not quite sure what's going to come. That is what you call clever boxing. So, wow, Paul, you're crazy. This level of boxing, I don't know how old you are, but you may never have seen this level of boxing before. This is higher echelon. I don't think you realize and appreciate the skills you're seeing here. You don't understand the subtle movements.
It's not all about... Go on, fight after.
Now, this is a contest between two legitimate great fighters.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And it's not always about speed. They're doing subtle things to throw the other man off. Well, Lennox more so.
Yes.
But, I mean, Lennox has got huge advantages in this fight. Hasn't he got... He's got a 6-inch reach advantage, hasn't he?
He does have the reach advantage.
I think it's a pretty massive one though, Raphie. Lennox was at 84-inch reach, wasn't he? I think Evander's like 78 or something.
The reach is 84 inches for Lennox. Don't want to miss the fight, so I'll look at Evander's in between rounds. I want to see this. 84 inches for Lennox Lewis. Jab over the top with the right. Evander ducks. You know, one thing that's very apparent watching these fight backs is how effective just simply ducking can be. Just simply ducking out of the way of a fight can be very, very effective. Seems so simple, but yet effective. Look how often Evander Holyfield's done it. Just ducked.
It's also a good way to set your punches up.
Yeah, because you come up hooking, hooking off that. Okay, clear. Lennox Lewis around.
So, yeah, I give that round to Lewis. He basically controlled the round with his jab. Holyfield didn't do much of anything.
No.
Yeah, I've got that. And I have checked Evander's reach, and it is a 78-inch reach.
Damn.
So it's just a huge advantage that Lennox has got. And on top of it, as we keep talking about how good his jab is, and it isn't just one good jab. He can throw all the different types of jabs that he can do. He's jabbing the body, he's double jabbing, he's triple jabbing. There's feints with the jab, heavy jab. It's really stopping Evander from letting his hands go.
Troy Graham says nowhere in all this talk about height now. Evander 6'2", Louis 6'6". Says Troy. I think Louis says he's 6'5". 6'5" is his generally accepted height. We're not going to quibble about the niche.
Either way, Lennox has got a bigger reach than everyone except for Tyson Fury in today's landscape.
Is he 89? How long is Tyson's?
85.
85, okay. Oh, so he's only got a 1 inch reach.
Yeah, it's not big.
1 inch advantage. I never realized that.
There's very few heavyweights with a bigger reach than 85, Raphie.
That's very interesting. Tyson Fury only has a 1 inch reach advantage over Lennox Lewis. That's interesting. Lennox Lewis is 6'5". Tyson Fury at what does he say? 6'9"? 6'9"?
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
84 is right up there with the biggest reaches, though. Right up there.
Yeah. 84 versus Tyson Fury's 85. Wow.
Body shots and left hook to the body is giving Holyfield problems.
Yeah.
Uppercut, right hand, left hook to the body.
Uppercut, left hook to the body. What a combo. Straight right, lead rights. Boom. Lead left now. Switched up. Lining him up. What were you going to do? Over the top. Oh, damn. Head clash, but that was more loose than anything, I think. Wilder wouldn't manage more than 3 rounds against Lewis or Holyfield, says Philip Carl Roberts.
I don't think we need to talk about current fighters.
No, we don't. Like this. No, there's so much beautiful work going on right now. Boom. Lead right again. Rocks back. Evander Holyfield's head.
It didn't really throw a jab then either. It's like a lead right combination with a straight left. It's just sick.
Another nice jab from Lewis. Oh, nice combination. Body from Evander.
That's the one thing that I don't really think Lennox does well in this fight is getting himself off the rope.
We're going to see as it progresses, something to watch out for. Troy says Evander was the last great heavyweight. I don't know about that.
No, that's ridiculous.
I don't know about that.
Lewis was the last great heavyweight.
Yeah, I say so.
There's definitely a strong case for Lewis as being the last one, not Evander.
Yeah, unless he means that Lewis retired before Evander.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, so
Holyfield retired. Evander wasn't really great towards that last little patch, though.
No. Scores, gentlemen. John Dealey.
I've got that as a 10-9 for Lewis.
Yes. The Fight Doctor.
10-9 for Lewis easily. I mean, it was the round had the flavor of the feeling of a sparring session, to be completely honest. I mean, Holyfield did nothing.
Yeah, I've got a 10-9 for Lewis easily, handily. No question. That was a very clear round. I don't think there's no ambiguity there. No ambiguity there. Really, we should be looking at Manny. Should be listening to Manny Stewart in between the rounds. I'm just trying to avoid any issues. We really should. Manny was a guy who didn't mess around. Manny Stewart didn't mess around in between rounds. He even slapped. I think he'll slap a fighter. Now wake up! What are you doing out there? You're better than this guy. Great motivational speaker. Lennox Lewis said, I can't remember which fight it was. He said He got punched up in the round, and then he came back and Manny smacked him in the face. Said there was no hiding place. He never said those words, but he said it was a fight in the round and a fight when he got back to his ring. Manny, great motivational. Evander, blatant headbutt there, sharp as well. Just dived in with his head first.
There was a bit of showboating gone wrong there for Lennox.
Okay.
He was putting his hands down and telling him to come in, so Evander obliged.
So obliged with his head. And hands, of course.
So far, I've got Evander winning this round.
Yep. It's
I think I'm all right with that. Yeah, Lennox seems to be taking a bit of time off.
Yeah. It's
He's throwing the lead right again.
1 minute 30 seconds into the sixth round now. Sixth round. Boom, boom, nice jab, half jab, and then the one that lands from Lennox. Straight, lead right, boom, then to the left jab, into the jab, boom, uppercut and left hook. I don't think the uppercut caught, but the left hook did. That's all from Lewis. And a jab, boom, jab. That's beautiful work from Lewis right here. Evander with the double jab, I think one glanced. Okay, Evander, Lewis goes in for the hold.
I think he knew he was going to be in the corner then.
Mm-hmm.
That's why waiting for a clinch.
Yeah. Jab there from Evander. Okay, Evander's on his toes, Lewis on his toes, lead right, and then a jab from Lewis, mixing it up beautifully. Does the same again. Misses with the right, catches with the jab. This is nice work here. Bam, lead right again from Lewis. Bam, now with the jab. It's beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Uppercut from Lewis.
I think when you watch these older fights, you realise how much more inside work fighters you really used to do.
Yeah.
To these days. I mean, especially in the heavyweight division.
Boom, boom. What is this? The fight still going on towards the end of the round? What's going on?
So that's a close round in my estimation. I thought Evander won the first minute and a half. I thought Lewis won the second half of the round, the last minute and a half. I think I would give that round to Evander, but only narrowly, because I just sort of like the work that Evander did more in the first half of the round than what Lewis did in the second half. Evander was more of the aggressor. He was the guy coming forward for the majority of the round. He was the guy making the fight for the majority of the round. So I would give that round to Lewis. I'm sorry, Evander Holyfield, but I could see it going to Lewis.
Yeah. John Daly.
Yeah, I think that's a really good assessment of the round. It's pretty even in terms of work done, but if you're going to split it, Evander was the definite aggressor.
Evander was
Lennox seemed like he was having a bit of time off to me.
Evander was the aggressor, but I had to go one way or the other, and I went with Lewis. Oh, damn. Evander comes out firing there. But I had to give it to Lewis based on, I think he just did the better work. He just did the tidier work. His points were clean. You see that? You see that?
That's the second time I feel like Evander's tried to exert his physical strength on Lennox.
No, it didn't work out second time around, though.
Not quite so well this time.
What happened there? I still don't know what happened there. What happened there with the foot? What happened there with the foot? Let me see that again. I don't get it. What is that? I don't get it. This is round 7, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to figure out. Oh, maybe just caught him with the left hook and he just off his feet. Whatever. Kind of weird. But anyway. Oh yeah, tried to pull Lewis down. Tries to get up faster, Lewis. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. No, you're not gonna try that strength game. No, it ain't gonna work. Says Lennox Lewis Tony.
Was that a lead right?
This is
I was
hilarious.
leaning right to the body. Yes, it was.
To the head. This is hilarious. This whole beginning of this round is hilarious. This whole thing is hilarious. Where is this? 7th round. This is funny.
Do you remember what I was saying, Raph, about Evander having a little bit of a complex?
Yeah, Napoleon.
About being a smaller man. I think he's displaying why I think that about him.
Look what Lewis displays here. Look what Lewis displays here, though.
Yeah, it's total disrespect, isn't it? I'm just going to give you a lead right.
Disrespect, quick. I'm just going to relax and pow, pow. We need to see that again. This is hilarious. This is totally hilarious because if you've ever done kickboxing, or point karate, they'll stand you up like you're standing there, and you'll be simply who can launch a successful attack first. So you're just standing facing each other in striking distance. The ref will say, go. It's all about brr. You just want to hit the guy with like a 3-piece and a soda immediately, within a second. 3-piece and a soda. That's one of the objectives. And this reminds me of kickboxing training. Kickboxing training. Just get straight into it. Just boom, launch into it. And look at the effect. It's got Holyfield turtling up in a shell for a second. Put him in a shell. Let me go over that again. Let me explain that again. In kickboxing, you have these setups where the ref will, in training specifically, the ref will stand you facing each other, and you've got to about launching the first attack. About launching the first attack immediately. And this is what we see here. Something replicated it. This is the 7th round. We've done a few rewinds, but had to. Boy! Head, body. And it's quick, shocking. Evander retreats, turtles up for a while. He's gathering his composure. Lewis knows it. Doing lots of feints. Feints galore. It's stuff you don't often see these days. And of course, Evander comes back firing. But I'm watching it on the wrong screen, so I'm probably ahead of y'all. Okay, I'm back in the right screen now. Okay, so yeah, Evander on his toes. Lewis just looking to time him, looking at his movements. Oh, yeah. That was another straight right. Caught Evander by surprise, one to the kidney. Lewis is going upstairs, downstairs all the time. Thanks, Lewis. Upstairs, downstairs. Feinting. Feints galore. Boom. Lead right hands and another lead. Now the lead right hand taken Evander Holyfield totally by surprise. Catching him more often than not with that lead right hand. Goes for uppercut, misses first time, catches him second time, turns it into a right also. Look at the punch variation. And look at that body shot. Then he goes up to the head, glances, misses a little bit. Jab. Right, straight, lead right. Look at the punch variation. Lead right, jab.
So the mistake that Holyfield is making is that he's following a puncher, which is a no-no. Mm-hmm. He's just following him around, eating punches. I mean, no head movement hardly. He's just standing there in front of the guy, allowing him to tee off. I mean, yeah, listen, there's no reason why you can't move your head. It's not illegal, okay? Move your head.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Do you see that one?
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll show it in a replay. More head work from Evander, John D.
Yeah, I think the issue with the head movement, though, is it takes up a lot of energy. So in the first few rounds, Evander's head movement was okay. And if you watch a lot of guys who employ a lot of head movement, it'll slow down once you get past halfway, because it does take a lot of energy to do that.
Mm-hmm.
What Fight Dots is saying about him following the punch around is completely right.
Yeah. How you scoring this guy? How you scoring? I'll go first this time. He's got the eye swell. He's got the end swell on Evander's eye. Clear round for me to let us loose. 10-9.
Yeah, I've got that 10-9.
Yeah, no question, Lewis. That was a Lewis round.
No question.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Every time we say Evander could win this round, it's tight as anything.
Yeah. That's
and every time we're saying that Lewis has won the round, there is no doubt.
It's clear. More often than not, it's clear. Okay, we are in round 8. Okay, double jab from Lennox Lewis.
I feel like Evander started this round a bit better as well. He's been busier. He's actually landing some punches.
I was distracted. I was looking elsewhere.
Lennox looks a little bit like he's having a look. Maybe a bit of a rest again as well.
Maybe. Put his hand on the back of Evander there as Evander ducked down just to guide him away. Nice jab, nice grab to the body from Evander. Goes to the body with the left, right. Was Evander. So Evander's doing better in the start of this round. Lennox misses with a big right. Evander misses with a big left hook to the body. Nice left, right from Lewis. Okay. A nice little short chopping left hook to the body from Evander.
It's like Evander's been listening to Fight Doctor. We've seen some head movement now.
Yeah, damn. Left, right from Evander. Nice, both for Lewis. Nice shots. Boom, boom. Tries it again. Lennox tags him to the head. Did he get one for head movement there? I think Evander just got one for the head movement. Left, right, left. Or is it a double left, right from Lewis? Did it again. I think it was a double jab and then a right. Now straight, right, lead right. Yeah, Fight Doctor. Double jab again.
Yeah. Holyfield has a habit of coming in with his head. Basically been doing it his whole career. And Tyson complained vehemently about that, and for good reason.
It's definitely something he did at heavyweight. He didn't really do it as a cruiserweight, but Evander's head is,
Why did he start using his head at heavyweight, do you reckon, John?
I just think if you watch him at cruiserweight, his foot speed is lightning. And a lot of the time he's got the reach on everybody. Whereas other than against Mike Tyson, it's rare he's got any sort of reach advantage. But I also think it comes back to this mentality that Evander got really pumped up with all the mass, and he did a lot of weight training.
Yeah.
And I think he tried to bull everybody instead of boxing them, which I always felt was a shame because I feel like he lost something.
I give that round to Evander Holyfield.
Close round. I thought it could go either way. I think Lewis edged it only because he sort of. I liked his work better in the round.
Yeah. I didn't see everything because I was looking in the chat as well. John D. Lee.
Yeah, it's close. I'm giving this one to Lennox. But it is a swing round. You could have it either way. We saw some good work from Evander.
Very close round. Troy says that Lennox still as good as he was. He had a bit of a stiff European style. I don't really see that. I mean, I think for a 6'5" guy, he moves very, very well. Sure, he wasn't ducking down at the waist, but I don't think he needed to. Why would he be ducking down at the waist at 6'5"?
Well, that's completely wasting your height advantage, isn't it?
Yeah, it's counterproductive. It don't make sense. You don't have to. You don't have to do.
You're bringing your head closer to Evander, not further away.
Yeah, exactly. So it make no sense. I think he moved very well, personally. I think he moved very, very well.
And yeah, I wouldn't really class Lennox as a
stiff European style.
No,
you know that.
And also, if anything, it's a Kronk style, isn't it, that he's employing?
Yeah.
So. When you've got a massive height and reach advantage, you don't need to have lots of flashy movement.
No.
You want to conserve your energy and move intelligently, which is one of the things he was, very good at.
Oh, another uppercut.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the most underrated things about Lennox. He's a great inside game.
Lovely.
Yeah, for a big heavyweight, he had an excellent inside game. He did.
Look, you say no movement. Sorry, I'm gonna have to do this. I'm gonna have to bring that back. You say no movement, Troy. Look at this, Troy. Hold on, where is it? He's coming up right. Oh, I missed it.
But it's little movements as well.
Look at this coming up here. Look at this for subtle movement. Look at Lennox in a second. I think he happens now.
Look, don't get it twisted. The knock on Lennox was never his defense. It was the fact that he would become complacent and do just little dumb shit to get knocked out. Like, for instance, in the first fight in the Rahman fight, not training. That was stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was filming. He's on a film set.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
that is superb movement.
If you watch, he gets Evander to punch over his shoulder twice. I mean, how much better movement do you want?
Exactly. It's subtle.
And yeah, Fight Ducks is exactly right. It was kind of my point at the beginning to that.
Triple jab by Evander, none catches, but there we go.
His complacency was his worst enemy, really.
Yeah, sometimes.
Otherwise, he probably couldn't be beaten.
Sometimes you would lapse into a little bit of complacency.
Yeah. See, focused, in shape, prime Lennox Lewis is the whole package. Everything except the chin. Okay, that's his only weakness.
I'm not even sure the chin was.
I think his chin was
weakness. You think?
I think his chin was good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
so he got hit by Raphael in the second fight.
So Oliver McCall is a good puncher in his own right. Okay, he's a hell of a puncher.
The atomic ball.
Yeah. And I'm sure that the punch that he hit Lewis with would have probably put down most heavyweights. But when Lewis got up from that punch, he was completely separated from his senses.
Well, I mean, if you're going to say that about Lewis, then what would you say about Mike Tyson with the Buster Douglas?
No, listen, Tyson's chin was not a weakness. That was not a chink in his armor. Okay, you listen. Say what you will about Tyson's mental state. His mental state may have been fragile, but his chin, there was nothing fragile about his chin. He took a beating in the Douglas fight, a sustained beating.
Nothing fragile.
Okay, and he folded, and he didn't. In fact, he got up after having taken a beating for 10 rounds. Mm-hmm. Go back and watch the Tyson Ruddock fights. Okay,
I'd agree that Tyson had a good chin.
Tyson had a damn good chin.
I think he had a good chin. What I'm saying is that he got mollywhopped by Buster Douglas and got dropped and fumbling around for his mouthpiece. So what I'm saying is that people can get dropped if they get caught nice.
But in the Douglas fight, it's not like Douglas hit Tyson with one good solid punch and then that was it. No, Tyson was taking a sustained beating for 10 rounds.
That's true.
Yeah, but wasn't McCall a better puncher than Buster Douglas?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. McCall is
I think there's more to it than that as well. I don't think your chin's constant. I think there's things that factor into it, like your actual level of aerobic fitness on the day.
Absolutely. There are things that factor into it, but we got to call this round. That was round 9. We got to call the round. Who won that round?
Shit.
John D. Lee.
I had that as a Lennox round.
The Fight Doctor.
Honestly, I was thinking about the fight with Tyson and Douglas.
Yeah. So even though you were
I got sidetracked. Yeah, I got distracted.
You still got to call the round though, because that happens.
So we'll give it to Lennox.
You're gonna give that to Lennox.
Yeah.
I got sidetracked as well. But I'm gonna give it to Lennox, or am I gonna give it to Evander? Was that a close round? I'm gonna have to ask somebody. Lewis won it. They say, you know, I'm just gonna have to follow my instincts, and a part of my instincts said that Holyfield won that round. I'm gonna give it to Holyfield. I could have been wrong. I was distracted. So Lewis may have won it, but I'm giving it to Holyfield, just because that's what I saw. Even though I was distracted, that's what I saw. Okay, so now this is what is this? This is round 10.
Yeah.
Leaping hook from Evander, couple to the body, another one to the body from Evander, left hook, right hook, couple.
Nice, nice work from Evander. Ooh, right
Yeah,
hand.
Evander's doing some really good work.
Very good work here. Going hooks to the head, multiple hooks to the head from Evander. He's winning.
I think starting off with sort of bodywork combinations like that would have been better for Evander if he'd done it all the way through.
Yeah, we're only like 40 seconds, 30 seconds, 40 seconds in. Evander won the first 40 seconds. 10 round.
But the success started off with a lovely combination to his ribs.
Mm-hmm.
Got right inside him.
Mm-hmm.
There's some more nice movement off head movement off Lennox.
Yeah. Okay. This is a good looking round for Evander. Nice left, right from Lewis. Nice jab again from Lewis. Boom, boom. Okay, right.
That right hand hurt.
Yeah, that right came over from Evander.
No, the right hand from Lewis.
Oh,
Yeah, Holyfield walked into it.
Yeah,
He's thinking about going in a bit more now, isn't he, Evander?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's in the 10th round. 1 minute, 8 seconds to go. 1 minute, 5 seconds.
Oh, another right hand.
Well, that's another one, yeah.
Evander went in with his head there. I noticed another head clutch.
The thing is, when you're the shorter fighter, if you're going to put your chin down and go in, what else is going to happen?
There's a possibility that it could happen, but with some fighters, it happens repeatedly. And
it was a dangerous weapon. Said.
Well, Lance Lewis said he saw a training video of Evander Holyfield and they had a tire wrapped around the punch bag. And he thought, why is the tire wrapped around the punch bag? And he noticed it was a head height of Evander. I ain't saying no more. You come to your own conclusions.
Was it on the heavy bag, Raph?
Yes. I'm just telling you what Lewis saw, what Lewis said.
When you got that kind of neck behind the head as well.
There you go.
It's a very dangerous weapon.
There you go. John D. Lee, who won that round?
I'm giving that one to Evander.
Yeah. Yeah. Right now.
I thought it was a Lewis round. Okay. What I saw was Evander come out and control about the first 45 seconds to the first minute of the round. After that, it was all Lewis. So the thing is, like, a round is 3 minutes. So you have to win the majority of those 3 minutes in order to win a round, unless you put your opponent on the canvas. Mm-hmm. And I just thought that over the majority of the round, Lewis did the better work.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel, when Lewis was in control, I just didn't feel like he was doing enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'd say they probably both won half a round each.
Yeah, it's half a round.
I felt like Lennox was a bit lazy when he was in control.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I've done a bad thing. I think I marked it for Holyfield in the previous round when I wasn't really sure. So I've leveled up the score. I've given Lewis this round because it was really, really close. Could have been Holyfield, but I just leveled up the score. So in reality, the score should probably be the opposite way around with the 10th and the 9th round. But anyway, I've leveled up the score there. Now we are in the 11th round. Remember, this is a 12-round. A nice job by Lennox Lewis.
Lennox looks like he's come out focused in this round, like he means business.
Yeah, another left by Lennox. Absolutely. Comes out like he means business, but Holyfield's on his toes too. But funnily enough, he'll jump up on his toes without actually moving anywhere oftentimes, and then he'll leap in or leap to the side. He'll leap. There you go. There's the leap. Boom. Not effective this time, but he can catch people off, and he does catch people off. And sometimes when he leaps with his head, it really hurts. Okay. Boom. Leaping in. Lennox is wise to the head thing now. It's like he's trying to control his head anytime he comes near. Yeah, look at that. He's always trying to have a shield between Holyfield and his head. Holyfield's head and his head. He's very getting cute to it. Well, he's got cute to it early. This is a low-scoring round thus far. It's the 11th, the penultimate. This round's going to be hard to separate for me.
We're already halfway so far.
Yeah,
I don't really feel like Evander's scoring a lot when he's getting work in. That's the issue I've got.
No, so Evander is the guy making the fight, but unfortunately, he's not really landing any clean punches. And that was a clean right hand right there.
That was a big right there, but took it well.
I thought he had a lot more success in the last round than this one.
But it's pretty much the Lewis jab for the most part, and then the occasional body shot that he mixes in there.
Yeah.
Lennox seems to be pacing himself a little bit too much for me in this round.
Yeah, well, see, now this is the problem with being a 6'5", 6'6", 240-pound heavyweight. That all that muscle, all that weight requires oxygen, and when the bell is ticking, when the rounds are ticking, it becomes more and more difficult to sustain a particular pace. And I think right now that's what we're seeing with Lewis, And listen, I think the real crime, one of the great crimes in boxing, in my opinion, is that they have gone away from 15-round fights. And one of the byproducts of having gone away from 15-round fights is that we get the blown up blubber whale heavyweights, which is where we are now.
I'm not sure I'd 100% agree with what you're saying, because
before that we need some scores. We need some scores.
Okay. I'm giving that round to Lennox predominantly because he landed more scoring punches. And whilst he didn't really take the fight to Evander, I felt he was in control.
Fight doctor.
Yeah, so I gave that round to Lennox. He didn't look terribly impressive in that round. However, clean punching is one of the criteria that you have to score around. And Holyfield, outside of a good right hand, I didn't see him land much. It was pretty much the Lewis jab.
Yeah. I got to go with the Lewis jab. Yeah, I'll go with the Lewis jab on that one. 10-9, Lewis. And we started the 12th and final round. Lennox wrist behind the jab. Nice double jab there. Well, half jab, half cocked it, and then he's just pouring out with the jab. Tricking to confuse. Nice caught.
Just landing at will on Evander's head now.
Caught him with the one there, and then with the right, and then just missed the right. Evander Holyfield has underrated head movement because he slips quite a bit. Don't seem to be moving his head too much, but all that bouncing around, he's effectively moving his head.
Well, Lennox Lewis jab is a thing of beauty.
It is a thing of beauty. Troy Graham has rejoined us. Troy Graham. Oh, sorry, I haven't added him in. There you go, Troy Graham. Troy ain't ready to speak. You're in.
Yeah, I'm just watching the round right now, sir. Watching the round.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Final round.
So I've still got Lennox doing all the effective work in there.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the second fight, right?
No, it's the first one.
This is the first fight.
First fight. Okay.
Last round. Nice.
Yeah.
Lennox Lewis, another jab.
Holyfield wasn't right. I could say that he lost the first fight. No problem.
Well, we haven't come to the end yet. So we don't know what the referees, what the judges are going to say. Theoretically, we don't know. Okay. Oh, left hook misses from Lewis. Pouring jab again. Keeping that hand in his face. Double jab, piston pace, missed.
Lennox keeps giving him different looks as well to throw him off.
Yeah, the feints, the movement,
hands, right.
The combination punching.
Yeah.
Lewis at his best was the whole package. Yeah.
Boom, boom. Look at that jab. Lands on the outside. Second one falls short, but it's cool. It's knocked him back with the first. It's like, lead right.
Lead right again.
Lead right, uppercut. Lead right, and then the left uppercut. That's something he's clearly worked on. It's been very, very effective for him.
The jab to the body. Lead right, followed by the left hook.
Yeah.
Lewis, listen, there's a good reason why he was ducked for the most part
there's a massive reason.
The early part of his career because he was a package.
Yes.
And to go along with the boxing ability, the power.
Yeah.
In both hands. And
the reach.
Who ducked him?
Riddick Bowe.
Well, Mike Tyson got made a payment to not fight in his second part of his career as well.
Oh, step aside.
He was paid $4 million to step aside so Holyfield Tyson could be made.
Holyfield.
No. There's a different instance. I can get it up for you if you want. Tyson had to pay out money to not face. He had to pay out $4 million to not face Lennox. Not in this. It's not step aside money in this because there's no title on the line. Tyson wasn't number one contender for this.
No, I think you're missing the concept when someone offers you money and you accept it is not a
no. What I'm saying, Troy, is Mike Tyson paid money to not fight Lennox Lewis.
Actually, was Don King, and I know what you're talking about. It was
okay.
They were trying to get the Holyfield Tyson fight made. He didn't just pay him $4 million to not fight him. They were trying to get Holyfield Tyson made, and that's why he was paid $4 million. He didn't pay him $4 million not to fight him. No, he paid him $4 million so Holyfield Tyson could get made.
Money. I thought that was a fine. I understand the difference between step aside money and having to pay money. I thought he got fined. If I'm wrong, that's fine.
Well, either way,
Riddick Bowe definitely did anyway.
Well, either way, we know
that's a joke. That's so disappointing for all the fans. Just like Wilder and Joshua, that fight will never happen. So that's
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not so sure that fight will never happen. I could envision a scenario where that fight becomes viable.
Which fight?
Joshua and Wilder.
Okay, let me say this fight.
Damn. Carry on, Troy. Oh.
No, I was gonna say, Wilder. Anytime a fighter could be talked into turning down $100 million, then $125 million, he never wanted to fight in the first place.
All right, wait, stop. All right, let's address this nonsense, okay? Because that's nonsense. First and foremost, you have Anthony Joshua being interviewed, right? And I don't recall who, but he was being interviewed by, I think, somebody in the UK media, where he names his price for a Wilder fight, $50 million, all right? So what happens? All right, well, Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Okay, so now listen.
SOG.
Right, SOG. So now look, Al Heyman calls Joshua's bluff, and what does Joshua do? He takes a pass. So if you're going to accuse Wilder of having, turned down this XYZ amount of money, Well, he learned it from Anthony Joshua.
No, he didn't. What happened was that. What's his name? Wilder comes out with an Instagram offer. Comes on Instagram. He says, Anthony Joshua, you said you wanted the money. We got the money for you right here. You have 24 hours within which to accept. And they will show us the paperwork. Where's the paperwork? Show
it wasn't even show.
I haven't finished.
Eddie Hearn.
I haven't finished. Just show the paperwork. Just show the paperwork. And
okay, all right. So wait, hold on a second.
No, I haven't finished. We're going around the table, and they failed to do that. So Eddie Hearn says, "Well, I'm flying out to New York. So you know, we're gonna get. We will see what. Flying over to New York, and I'll talk with Finkel, Shelley Finkel. Shelley Finkel declines the meeting." And say, yeah, he declines the meeting. He declines to meet. So you want the guy to accept something and then decline to meet his promoter to talk about it. John D. Lee, we're going around the table.
I don't understand how, if you seriously want to make a fight for $50 million, why you would refuse to send a contract and why you would refuse to meet the fighter's promoter when the fighter has publicly said, yes, I'm interested. And so Joshua's exact words were, let's roll, when the $50 million offer was made. Eddie Hearn said, we want the paperwork, we want a meeting. So, and then they back out. So I don't really see how you can class that as a legitimate offer. Legitimate offers have paperwork, and you have meetings to sort out the finer points. You don't refuse to meet with the other promoter if you're serious about making the fight. What Deontay Wilder turned down was a written contract in a meeting with all of his management team and the other side. It's not what happened with Joshua. They tried to make the meeting, and Wilder's team refused to do it. Al Heyman didn't come up with any money. Wilder sent an email with no details of anything. Now, Wilder, as far as I know, did not have $50 million at the time. It's not a professional offer. It's just not a legitimate offer. And if it had been, there would have been a meeting and there would have been a contract. Then you could say Joshua ducked it.
Marla.
All right, so now let me ask you guys a question.
Marla's joined us. Marla.
How's it going, Raphie?
How you doing, mate? You good? All the way from down there in New Zealand? Yeah, it's Saturday
good, man.
It's Saturday afternoon over there. It's approximately 1:48 and 15 seconds over there in the afternoon.
10:48 in the morning.
10:48 in the morning.
Yeah.
So what's that? So that's 10. So it's only 11 hours. You're 11 hours ahead.
Yeah, I think so.
11 hours. Okay, I thought he was 12. I thought he was 12 hours ahead of us. Okay, so it's 11 hours. Damn, that's okay. So what's happening? What's your initial thoughts? What are you saying, Marla? What are you saying about
I was just watching the Lennox fight. I had it 117 to 111 for Lennox.
I haven't added up my scores. That's a good point.
Yeah, I did that 9 rounds to Frio. I remember at the time when the fight happened, it was a terrible decision. It was obvious who won.
But we don't know what's happened yet, though, Marla, because they haven't announced it.
Oh, yeah, that was my score.
Okay. And all right, going back over to who are we going to? Okay, hold on. Let me hold on. Let me just play this. I need the volume with this. I need to kill the volume of the music, and we need to hear what they are saying. We're risking copyright here.
The United Heavyweight One Champion of the World, Seth Abraham. You got to give it to the guy. Well, on behalf of the company, thank you, George. This is the official decision. Let's go to Jimmy Lyon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of boxing here at Madison Square Garden, we go to the scorecards at this time. Judge at ringside, Eugenia Williams, scores about 115 to 113 in favor of Evander Holyfield.
115.
Stanley Christodoulou scores about 116 to 113 in favor of Lennox Lewis. Judge at ringside, Larry O'Connell scores about 115 to 115, even a draw. The decision is even a draw. Both champions retain their
Terry Blair.
16 scores about 150. Official decision. Let's go to Jimmy Lyons India. Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of boxing here at Madison Square Garden, we go to the scorecards at this time. Judge at ringside, Eugenia Williams scores about 115 to 113 in favor of Evander Holyfield. Judge at ringside, Stanley Christodoulou scores about 116 to 113 in favor of Lennox Lewis. Judge at ringside, Larry O'Connell scores about 115 to 115, even a draw. The decision is even a draw. Both champions retain their belts.
OMG. Okay, so my scorecard, I don't know if everybody added the scores together, but my scorecard read 117, 111 to Lennox Lewis. That's a 6-point margin win for Lennox Lewis.
Yeah, that's what I had at Raphie.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned the 170. Yeah, that's what you scored.
I've got 117, 111 to Lennox as well.
Yeah. Fight Doctor, is you similar or Fight Doctor? Where's Fight Doctor?
It looks like he's dropped off.
You say anything in the chat?
No, that's not his avatar there, though, is it? So blanks.
That's Marla. That's Marla. Okay, so anyway, yeah. So we go around the table and talk about John Dealey. John Dealey, your views on that. Your views on that result. Sorry. Your views on the fight, firstly, and then your views on the.
I thought it was a good fight. I thought it was a clear victory for Lennox. And I think the result is the very definition of robbery in boxing.
One of many.
Yeah. Go ahead, Troy. Your views on the score and your views on the fight.
To me, I'm gonna be honest and say Holyfield did lose this fight. But as far as the robbery goes, you can only call something a robbery when you lose something. Neither man lost anything in this fight. They're both champions when they came in, and they both were champions when they left. And Lewis got his rematch, and he won.
Well,
so Lewis, it's not so much a robbery. It's not a good decision.
Lewis did,
and it was a black eye for.
Lewis did lose something because he lost a fight which he clearly won.
No, it was a draw.
But it's still a loss. If you're supposed to win something and you only get a draw, I mean, I'm calling that a loss in a sense. Not in terms of the record, but as a sense of loss. Surely there's going to be a sense of loss.
Well, yeah. Well, sense of loss doesn't show up on your record, and that's what I'm talking about. You know, it doesn't show up on your record. You feel it. You feel it as a sportsman, and of course you feel it as a person who has ambition, you know, and all that. But overall, you didn't lose anything. You might feel something was taken from you that night. Sure, I agree with that, but it was no robbery. It isn't like he really pummeled Holyfield or anything like that, but he did win. But the fight was, but you know, he got his rematch and he won on and did what he did. But it's something I wanted to say when I said that Holyfield was the last great heavyweight.
Yeah.
Right. The reason I could justify saying that was because there's no more accomplished heavyweight than him from his era. He's the only man that fought Tyson, Lewis, Bowe. He dropped Bowe. He dropped Tyson. He dropped Mercer. He beat everybody who was anybody at heavyweight and fought everybody who was anybody. So who else could say that out of Bowe, Tyson, Holyfield, Lewis? Who else could say that besides Holyfield?
Who else could say what? Sorry. Who else could say what?
Okay, that they fought everybody. meaning Bo, Lewis, Tyson, and those are the top three. Who else could say that they fought all three people?
Well,
Who else?
If Bo ran away from Lewis, then is that Lewis's fault? I'm not saying Bo ran away from Lewis, but if that's what the case is, if that's the speculation, then is that Lewis's fault? If that's better. If you have a top guy running away from you, then that's even better, arguably. Arguably, that's better.
This is what happened, though, Ralph. This is what happened. I don't think many people know this, but I do, and it's fact. I'm not making it up. Lewis was scheduled to fight Bo once he got past Oliver McCall. Obviously, he did not get past Oliver McCall, and then Bo fought the Polish boy, and all of that foolishness happened, and the rest is history.
What's his name? That big Pole? The big Pole?
Andrew Galata.
Yeah, Galata.
And he got beat up by Galata. Bo went and fought Galata and got beat up.
Right.
Yeah, but it doesn't get away from the fact that Bo put his WBC title in the bin.
Yeah, but that was past tense. If Lewis would have got past McCall, he would have got the fight with Bo. That's past tense.
Can I jump in, Raphie? Could I jump in, Raphie?
Yeah, sure.
It was in the contract when Evander Holyfield fought the winner, the first fight with Riddick Bowe and Holyfield. Whoever won that was supposed to fight Lennox. And after the fight, Lennox was at ringside commentating. Bowe came up to him. They had some words. And Bowe's going, "Well, knock me out, bum. Well, knock me out, bum." They were going to and fro.
Yeah.
Bowe won that fight. He was supposed to fight Lennox Lewis. Whoever won that fight fought Lennox. Bowe won the fight, and he didn't fight Lennox, and the belt was thrown in the bin.
Whoever won which fight?
The first fight with Holyfield and Riddick Bowe. Whoever won that fight had to fight Lennox Lewis next. And Bowe won the fight, and he didn't fight Lennox. He threw the belt in the bin.
Dang.
Right. So there was a 4-man tournament, heavyweight. It was Evander Holyfield and Riddick Bowe on one side. On the other side was Lennox Lewis and Razor Ruddock. Now, out of this 4-man tournament, the winners were on each side were supposed to face each other. So obviously, Bowe beat Holyfield. Lewis knocked out Ruddock in 2 rounds. That's when Lewis and Bowe were supposed to fight. And instead of fighting Lewis, Bowe chose to put his WBC title in the trash can. So this whole talk about Lewis getting knocked out, and that's the reason why the fight didn't happen. No, the reason why the fight didn't happen is because Team Bowe decided not, for whatever reason, decided not to fight Lennox Lewis.
I understand fight, doctor, but again, that was past tense. That was after the whole contract that they signed to fight was after that, and like I said, Lewis got stopped by McCall, and that was, and then things happened with Bowe and Andrew Galata, so that fight never happened.
Okay, but look, listen. The reason why the Lewis-Bowe fight didn't happen is because Bowe chose to put his WBC title in the trash can and fight somebody else.
Boom.
That's past tense. Past tense. Oliver McCall came after that years later.
I understand that. I understand that. But what I'm saying to you is the original plan was that Lewis and Bowe was supposed to face off after Lewis had beaten Ruddock and after Bowe had beaten Holyfield in the first fight.
Yeah. Yes.
The whole world knows that.
Yes. So there you go. Boom. Bowe ran away.
He did. He ran. He ducked.
And also, you put about Tyson. Yeah, you were right in that it's step aside money, but he then vacated the title after he paid the step aside money. So you've paid $4 million to Lennox to step aside, and then you vacate the title instead of fighting him. So what's that if it's not?
I wanted to talk.
Who vacated the title? Bowe?
No, that's the Tyson. So Tyson paid $4 million in step aside money.
Yeah.
To Lennox Lewis,
right.
But then after that, instead of fighting him after that, he vacated the title.
Mike Tyson vacated the title.
I wanted to talk about that, Raphael.
So
I believe he had to vacate the title, didn't he? And
So
also,
if he fought
so-
Lewis, he wouldn't have had to vacate the title.
Well,
That's
no,
the point.
so actually,
Why are you paying step aside money? No. This is the question. Why do you pay step aside money if you don't intend fighting your number one contender, your mandatory, instead of paying the step aside money? Why didn't he just vacate it in the first instance?
so it
Because he
wasn't
effectively
actually
paid
Tyson.
$4 million and then did what he would have had to have done if he didn't pay the $4 million to avoid paying Lennox Lewis, fighting Lennox Lewis.
Okay, so where is this in the sequence of events? Where is this in the sequence of events with Bo? Bo didn't fight. Let's get the timeline. Bo opted not to fight Lennox Lewis after he beat Evander Holyfield in the first fight.
It was 1993. Bo would have fought Lennox.
1993. And when did Mike Tyson vacate the title?
96.
93. So Mike Tyson thing came a few years later. Okay.
Yeah, 1996.
Okay, so we've got the timeline now. We've got 93 and 96. So Bo ran away in 93, and Mike Tyson walked away in 96. So
I have to say though, it was tough for Mike Tyson. Hang on, it was tough for Mike Tyson. To be fair to Mike Tyson, he got out of jail after a 3-year layoff. He'd only fought McNeely, Buster Mathis, and Frank Bruno, and then they wanted to throw him in with Lennox, and he was in no way ready, and his team knew it.
Fair play.
Okay.
You know.
Also, let me say this now, please. Everybody got to speak. I can offer you anything in this world. You have to choose to accept it. Lennox could have said, "No, I'm not accepting it. Fight me." Why did he accept it?
Why did he accept what?
Exactly. Why did he accept the fight?
I can answer that question.
He may have expected to fight. He probably thought he would have said to Tyson, "Okay, I'll take your step aside money," expecting that Tyson was going to fight him later on, and Tyson didn't.
Tyson lost at that point, right?
No, he didn't. He won a belt, so he wins the WBA against Selden, and then he vacates the WBC, so he doesn't have to fight his mandatory contender, which was Lennox Lewis.
Okay. If this was in '96, then Tyson had those belts. I don't recall him I guess he did. I don't recall him vacated. But again, sir, unless you have that on paper, why would you accept the four? And if Lewis had it on paper and it was a contract, why didn't he sue Tyson to get that fight?
The question I've got for you, Troy, is:
yes, sir.
If you're going to pay step aside money to your mandatory contender for the WC belt,
and he's going to accept it, yes.
Right? Okay, he did accept it. That's fine. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that part of what you're saying. Why, after you've paid $4 million, would you then go and vacate that same belt? That needs some sort of explanation, which was my point. So once you've paid the step aside money, at that point, Lennox Lewis did not give up his mandatory status of being a number one contender. Tyson beats Selden, gets the WBA title. He then drops the WBC title, so he has no mandatory obligation to fight Lennox Lewis. And that's the part I'm struggling with. Why would you vacate a title after you've paid $4 million to keep it?
Which one do you believe was more important, the belt or beating Tyson? Because if he would have had a contract that stated that I fight Tyson.
Look, Lennox might not have made the smartest business decision, but you're not really answering my question. Why would you pay $4 million? Explain then. This is the question. You pay $4 million to your mandatory contender for your WBC title. He accepts it and steps aside. After the fight where you fight for the WBA title, you go on and you vacate the WBC title, who the guy you've just paid $4 million to is the number one contender. That's the bit I don't understand.
A simple answer for you, right? Because Tyson honestly knew where he was in his career. But let's go back to Lewis and his camp. Why didn't they get a solid contract that states win, lose, or draw?
That part is fine. I'm quite happy to say that that's Lewis's fault. I'm quite comfortable with what you're saying there. But what you've just skirted over the fact is Tyson didn't want to fight it.
No. I didn't skirt over the fact. I'm the one that made that fact. You asked me a question.
Okay. All right. As long as we've got that clear. That's what I was looking to establish.
That once he came back out of jail, he wasn't ready for. He wasn't ever going to be as good as he was, and he couldn't really beat any top contenders. So that's why he stepped back. He wanted to get past Lewis, but again, Lewis had a brain trust with him. Why didn't they take care of business instead of just saying, "I'll take the money and I'll sign the paperwork that they put in front of me"?
Well, I
agree with you. That's on Lewis, though.
But I can answer that question.
Yeah.
So
Yes, you can.
at the end of the day, boxing is a business, and so if you're Team Lewis, you have to realize the truth, which is perhaps Team Tyson doesn't want to fight. Maybe they don't want to fight right now. Maybe they don't want to fight at all. So we have to do what's best for our man, which in this case, accept the step aside money and see if they will want to fight after his next fight, which Tyson ends up losing to Evander Holyfield, which makes the point moot.
Yeah. So, Marla, your words on this.
Earlier, I just felt that the Tyson camp, it was suicide to throw Tyson in with Lennox, right after getting out of jail and only having those 3 fights against average opponents.
Yeah.
I think he fought, who did he fought? McNeely, Buster Mathis, Bruno, and Selden. He would have been destroyed by Lennox, and they knew it. So I don't hold that against Tyson, paying the money and avoiding him at that point in his career.
Yeah.
But I think the Lewis's camp would have just thought, well, we'll let him fight Holyfield. They probably thought he'll beat Holyfield because Holyfield didn't look that great against Bobby Cheers, and then they could fight Tyson later, and it all just didn't pan out. Didn't pan out that way.
Isn't that a slightly wrong sequence of events though? Because he fights Selden, wins the WBA, and it's at that point he pays Lennox step aside money so he can fight Selden, gets the WBA.
Oh, I can't remember, but I know he.
This is a sequence of events, just to be clear. So he pays step aside money so that he can have a unification fight with Selden and gets a WBA. After he wins that fight, he drops the WBC title, which is what Lennox was #1 contender for, and then goes on to fight Evander. So that's why I would class it as a duck, because he drops the title that he's just paid $4 million to keep, because he realizes he's got a WBA title and he can build the Holyfield fight as a unification fight, but definitely a world title fight without the WBC title, which is what he paid $4 million for.
Yeah, but I think that's consistent with what Marla's saying, is saying that Tyson wasn't ready for Lennox.
They weren't confident. That's my point. They did not want to fight Lennox at that point. They knew he would get smoked.
Yeah, and I think Troy's agreed with that, and I think so's Fight Doctor.
So
we were saying 2 people are Lewis, and those are the 2 ducks that I can think of.
2 ducks.
So you have to look at it. So boxing is a sport, but it's also a business. So you have to look at it from a business point of view. Now, one of the knocks on Lewis is that he wasn't a draw for the majority of his career. I mean, Lewis didn't really, right. He never really became a draw until like later on in his career. I mean, and honestly, you could probably make the argument that he was never a draw. So
never a draw.
He was a draw in the UK. He was a draw in the UK.
He wasn't that big a draw, Raphie. Let's be honest. If you're gonna lay anything on Lennox, that's the biggest thing you can lay on him. He wasn't a draw.
Sorry?
You know why he was the draw?
I think. Well, did he not fight in? Did he not command decent living? So
not as big as Tyson and Holyfield though. Back in those days,
he wasn't as big as Tyson and Holyfield.
He wasn't as big a draw as Frank, though, was he?
But no, he wasn't as big as Tyson Holyfield. He wasn't as big as Frank, but he was commanding good money, and I would imagine he'd have to be something of a draw to be.
But what I would say the counter argument is he fought good fighters, so he got paid well.
Yeah,
but often they were the draw.
Yeah.
Just about the same.
They were often the draw over him. These opponents were often the draw over him.
Well, I mean, so
in
the
Battle of Britain fight, Frank Bruno is definitely the draw.
So look, so if we go back to this 94, 95, 96 time frame, like who were the big draws in the heavyweight divisions? Mike Tyson, George Foreman, Evander Holyfield. I mean, Riddick Bowe. Those were the guys who were the big draws in the heavyweight division. And then you had, I think argument can be made that Frank Bruno was a bigger draw. Well, he was definitely a bigger draw in the UK than Lennox Lewis was.
Yeah, but I mean, Frank Bruno was massively popular here. irrespective of his record. I mean, he was huge.
Yeah.
So listen, Lennox Lewis, one of the knocks on him was that, for most of his career, he was high risk, low reward. And if you're Mike Tyson, you're not only the biggest draw in heavyweight division, you're arguably the biggest draw in boxing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah, so you have to so you're looking at maximizing your earning potential, and you're weighing that against your risk. So from a business point of view, it makes sense. If you're Mike Tyson, you don't want to fight Lennox Lewis because he might beat you, and you're not maximizing your earning potential.
Okay, so to come back to close this section out, because we got another little bit of a surprise. To close this section out, two guys blatantly ducked Lennox Lewis. And the name of those two guys. And the name of those two guys, one, Riddick Bowe. I don't know his middle name, or else I'd say Riddick Bowe. And the other, Iron Mike Tyson. Those are two guys. And I'm not saying I understand the reason why Tyson tried to do the sidestep. I'm not saying there weren't sensible reasons to do so, but there you go. Both Bo and Mike Tyson didn't want it with Lennox Claudius Lewis, and that my friend, what's going on here? Bruno V. Witherspoon, I cried my eyes out on the way home. Frankly, I was not happy. Well, that's a good confession. Is good for the soul. Mute yourselves when you're not talking, guys, please. So anybody in here who enjoys the content but has not subscribed, has not liked, then if you enjoy the content, then please kindly do so. So we've just seen Lennox Lewis versus Evander Holyfield. Where am I? We've just seen Evander Holyfield versus Lennox Lewis, and it was adjudged to be a draw by the judges, whereas most sensible and right-thinking people had it around the margin of 117 to Lennox Lewis and 111 to Evander Holyfield. It was a clear win. It was a clear win in the minds of the masses, in the minds of almost everybody except the judges. But we know who won that fight. We know who won that fight. And is anybody sticking around for more? We got some more. We got another one. Is anybody not sticking around, should I say?
So I want to stick around because there's a question I need answered.
Yeah, ask the question.
So in what world is Lennox Lewis not a great heavyweight?
Who said he wasn't?
Well, apparently one of our panelists thinks that the last great heavyweight was Evander Holyfield.
Clarify that, Troy. Clarify that. Okay, so maybe that can't get clarified right away.
Yeah, I rate Lennox as a great heavyweight. I mean, I grew up watching him. He was very dominant in his era. He unified the titles. He was a tremendous fighter. I rate him really highly. I think he was probably Lennox and Holyfield were probably the last of the great heavyweights.
Yeah.
Those two guys.
Yeah, I agree with that. Troy, there's a question. Can you hear me? Troy, can you hear me? There's a question for you. How do you have Evander Holyfield as the last great heavyweight? I get a feeling he answered this, bro. I remember the answer.
His answer is what sparked off the ducking debate. So so he basically said that Evander's got the best resume because he fought everybody.
Oh.
And the counter argument to it was, some people ducked.
Yeah, that was my counter. My counter was
he fought and he defeated everybody. And he's the most accomplished of his era. There's no way.
But he didn't defeat everybody, did he?
No, he did not.
He didn't defeat Lennox, did he?
And he got beat.
Who didn't he fight, Doc?
He got beat by Bo twice. He fought Bo 3 times and got beat twice.
Yeah, but he did. I mean, he did beat Bo, but he didn't beat Lennox once.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He beat Bo. He did
once.
That's what we've said.
He beat Bo once and lost twice.
He beat Bo in the second fight. He beat Tyson. Had a draw with Lewis. He beat Mercer. He beat Mora. He beat Foreman.
That draw,
right? And the list goes on and on and on.
But he lost to Bo twice.
And he's the only 4-time heavyweight champion.
But he lost.
Wait, that's nonsense. Holyfield has only won the title twice.
Anyway, we're not saying that Evander's not a great heavyweight. We're saying Lennox is as well.
Yeah.
That's not the argument. We're not here to undermine Evander's, but I'm saying
because no one from his era that can match his accomplishments. No one.
Hold on. Lennox's accomplishments are superior to Evander Holyfield's. Are they not? How many times was Lennox? Did Lennox not retire as lineal champion? Did Lennox not retire?
Listen, if somebody wants to argue that, if somebody wants to argue that Holyfield is greater than Lennox, then I think that's a worthy debate. However, if the argument is that Holyfield is the last great heavyweight, well, I think that's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. I think that's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I can see an argument for saying Evander's achieved more and got a better resume than Lennox.
Well, okay.
There's no argument to say that Lennox is not a great
heavyweight. Okay. I'll do you one better. He's the last great heavyweight from America.
If somebody wants to tell me that Evander,
he's also the best heavyweight from America.
If somebody wants to tell me that Evander Holyfield was better than Lennox Lewis, I think I have the silver bullet for whichever man tries.
Go ahead.
I think I have the silver bullet for whichever man has the audacity to try and tell me that Evander Holyfield was better than Lennox Lewis. I have the silver bullet for y'all. I have the silver bullet for y'all.
Go ahead, shoot it.
Yeah. I'm afraid to say you push me in a direction where I got to say there's a pink elephant in the room. And that pink elephant.
I'm a werewolf and I'm coming at you, baby. You better shoot that bullet. I'm about to become a werewolf. Go ahead.
There's 3 letters for my response, my friend. And that is PEDs.
Yeah, but how do you know Lennox wasn't on them?
Well, we don't know, but we do know that Evander was.
He never filled his watch out, did he?
We had this conversation.
Everybody, is there
you didn't shoot a silver bullet?
Is there a man?
You didn't shoot a silver bullet at me. What you did was you shot a stainless steel bullet at me that was marked silver because you don't have any proof. You don't have 100% proof. Proof is him getting suspended. We had this conversation there, brother.
Is there one man in the land? Is there one man in the land prepared to stand up, put his hand on his heart, and say that he doesn't blatantly and clearly believe that Evander Holyfield was on the PEDs?
We had this conversation. You do not have 100% proof. As I told you, he boxed for over 20 years. Never was suspended or anything.
You did not listen to my statement.
No one came out.
You did not listen to my statement. You did not listen to my statement, so I reiterate it. Okay, so is there a single man in the land, in the world, any lands, near or far, who could stand up, who could honestly stand up with his right hand on his heart and say, I do not believe, it is not blatantly obvious to me that Evander Holyfield was blatantly and clearly on the PED.
And my answer to you is, how would I know that? How would anybody know that?
Well, yeah, Evander was juiced to the gills. There's no question.
Juiced to the gills.
It was rife in the 90s. It was rife in the 90s, man. The chances are most of them were on something.
The chances are. But the difference, Marla, with Evander is that it was so blatantly obvious. It has never. I'll go further. Here's another silver bullet we can share around the room. It's okay. You're gonna.
I keep telling you, man, that those are stainless steel bullets marked silver, and they're actually made in China.
It has
made in China. Them stainless steel bullets are firing.
I defy anyone.
But now listen, I tell you what.
I'm finished. I defy anyone to point the finger at another heavyweight in recent memory who was so blatantly juiced to the gills.
Oh, that's easy. Shannon Brigg.
Okay, carry on.
I've got another one for you, Raphie, as well.
That's another one that's all blatantly clear. So you're only supporting my point, John D. Lee.
Unless somebody could honestly, unless somebody could 100% prove it, and show me where he was ever
proof.
He was ever banned from boxing. He was ever caught with drugs. All of that. Then we have nothing to discuss.
Troy, we don't have 100% proof.
Let them finish. John Dealey, what are you saying, please?
We don't have 100% proof, however, of Evander taking steroids.
Okay.
However,
I agree.
He trained with Lee Haney.
Lee Haney, 8-time Olympia champion, training out of Atlanta, Georgia. Carry on.
That means that he spent time and trained with someone that used steroids.
It was very
and the side effect of steroids that is well known is heart problems. That's why Arnold Schwarzenegger, who openly admitted his steroid abuse, had to have a heart bypass operation.
Triple bypass. Yep.
Evander had to retire from boxing because of a heart issue. Mm-hmm. He allegedly had a heart attack during the Michael Moorer fight. That also is his fat-free mass index is indicative of a steroid user. So it is all anecdotal evidence.
Mm-hmm.
It's not 100% proof. No. So
anyway,
I'm not here to take away from Evander's achievements.
No.
I'm a big fan of Evander.
Me too.
So
yeah. Oh, who was your?
Lennox Lewis was a great heavyweight as well. That's the point that I'm making.
Yeah. Did you have another fighter? Because I remember I posed the question: is there another heavyweight in recent memory that you can say was as blatantly juiced to the gills as Evander?
Well, we have got a chap from Brooklyn, haven't we? David Miller.
But
Miller.
He wasn't blatantly clear though physically. He just looked like a blob. To be fair.
Yeah, but he was.
To be honest, it wasn't his physical appearance that made it blatant to me.
His stamina. He was 300 pounds, throwing more punches than guys that were 220 pounds.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was going to say, Marla. It's the EPO that was obvious with him.
Yeah. You had the feeling that something was going on. Who hasn't had a go? I think it's the fight doctor.
Yeah, so definitely Gerald Miller. He was definitely suspect, and I recall before he got caught in the lead up to the Joshua fight, I recall watching one of his fights, thinking like, how's this guy 300 pounds, but he has such a high punch output, late in fights. Like, what the hell is going on here? But listen, as far as Evander Holyfield is concerned, back in the 90s, all those heavyweights were juicing. Tyson, all of them, they were all juicing. And I think I may have commented on this before. It's rife throughout the whole of the sport. So we're going to single out. I think it's a bit unfair to single out Evander Holyfield.
Not the way he looks. Not the way he looks, my friend. Not the way he looks. He came in looking like he could have stepped on the Olympia stage, Mr. Olympia.
Well, listen. In his cruiserweight days, he was chiseled.
He was.
So Evander has always had that Adonis physique.
Yeah, and then he got bloated. That's not an Adonis physique. He got bloated. He's not like he just ate more. That's not the look of someone who's just eating more. That's the look of someone who is blatantly juicing. But there is no proof. There is no.
But Frank Bruno had a chiseled body. AJ's got a big chiseled body.
Yeah, but it's not bloated. It's not bloated muscle. That's chiseled.
There is a significant difference between
chiseled.
Well, have you noticed AJ's bloated stomach? Have you seen the photos of his bloated stomach? Isn't that for the
hold on, Marla. I'll address that. It's also quite common with people of African heritage to have a very high curvature of the spine, which gives the appearance of your stomach sticking forward. He doesn't have a bubble gut. If you actually go and look at bodybuilders, AJ doesn't have a bubble gut. It's not the same thing. We've been through this a few times. AJ is not as big as Primo Carnera, and Primo Carnera was ripped. So AJ's physique is possible. Easily possible within his FFMI is certainly under the standard natural limit. and Primo Carnero was actually at about 26. The normal natural limit is 25. Frank Bruno, he gets a bit more questionable. The one of him skipping's better, Rafi.
Yeah, I can't find it. We're gonna have to
okay. Frank Bruno, towards the end of his career, when he started pushing 17 stone and a half stone, potentially suspect. However, it's not the same increment in size that we saw with Evander. Like it's not how good a physique you have. It's how much mass you're carrying compared to your overall size.
Yeah, Frank Bruno was ripped and chiseled, and I didn't see a roided body there. Jumbo Cummings was ripped and chiseled, make Frank Bruno look small. I didn't see all Frank Bruno. Who else did you mention? The potential.
It's more the end of his career.
Okay, let me say this, right? Let me ask you gentlemen a question.
Frank Bruno, Jumbo Cummings were all big brutes of men, but we've seen. I think I should have kept the one about that. We've seen throughout history of the fight game, big, ripped, chiseled guys, pre-steroids, when steroids weren't even invented yet. So to say a man, because he's big and he's got muscles, is roiding, to me, nah, it doesn't work like that. But what I will say is that the way that...
Let me ask you, gentlemen.
Oh, let me finish, man. Please, let's have some decorum.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, brother.
The way that Evander Holyfield blew up, that to me was clearly indicative of steroids. Correct, Canero here, he's built more along the lines of AJ, but even bigger. And steroids were not invented yet. I rest my case. Troy Graham.
Okay, let me ask you gentlemen a question. Holyfield, like I said, he fought for over 20 years. Do you believe that it was steroids that made him that great, or his God-given talents? And if he was on steroids and taking steroids as much, he is close to 60 at this point. Wouldn't his body start breaking down, and why is he still in shape? Right.
So Evander Holyfield is, to me, he's a born athlete. He's a born athlete. That's my take on him. He's a naturally muscular guy. You see it in his son. You see something very, very similar in his son. He's tight. He's light. He's tight. Very muscular. What we saw when he moved to heavyweight was a different physique. It was a bloated physique. It wasn't just that same muscle with him eating more. No, it was bloated. It was unrecognizable to his previous form. It was blatant PEDs. I put it to you. I had a bodybuilder. Come to my home and I didn't know. This is way back in the day. I didn't really know much about steroids. This is way back in the day. This guy was a bodybuilder. This is a real story, true story. And I happened to have Evander Holyfield, this fight playing. And the bodybuilder in question, he went mad. He went, I used to like Evander Holyfield, but he's full of steroids now. He got angry. And I didn't know about steroids back then. That was a long time ago, and I didn't really know much about steroids. And the bodybuilder went angry and said he's full of steroids. I thought, Anyway, next person, Marla.
Yeah, I just think he may have been on steroids, but at the end of the day,
sorry, before you go in, let me address Troy fully. No, Evander Holyfield, natural athlete. Then he got into boxing, became a great athlete. He's a great fighter. His achievements are incredible. I'm a fan of his. But if you have to push me to separate them, which is what you did, then that's how I separate them. Over to Marla.
Yeah, I just look at it. Well, I talk to people a lot about Holyfield, and everyone's like singles him out. Like the way people talk, you'd think that he was on PEDs and no one else was.
Yeah.
You know, it's rife in professional boxing. It's rife in professional sport, as much as we hate to admit it.
Right.
We don't want to admit that our heroes take the drugs, right? But they do. It's rife, man.
Yeah.
And you can't. AJ may be on it. He may be not.
Maybe.
It's everywhere.
Josie.
Yeah, that's right. I look at Holyfield. Do I think he was on PEDs? I think he probably was. He went from 20. He put on 20 pounds of muscle in about 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
So that's suspect.
Very.
You know, but as I'm saying, you can't. It bothers me.
You can't say it was just Evander, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what bothers me about it. Yeah, it's rife, man. It's just rife.
Yeah, and to clarify, I made that statement to everybody. I'm just talking to to clarify. I just made that statement particularly polarizing, just to respond to Troy Graham, who said that separating them. So that's what I say. I separate them, but don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. I'm a big fan of Evander Holyfield. Over to the fight doctor before we move into the second fight.
Yeah, it's a bit hypocritical to single out Evander Holyfield during an era where we know that boxing, in fact, sport in general, is rife with PED use. It seems as the time has progressed, PED use has become more scientific. It's become more and probably more prevalent. So So was Evander Holyfield on PED? Yes, but was he on PEDs to a greater extent than anyone else in the sport? Any of his contemporaries? No, I don't think so. The man never got.
I say I'm going to let you come back, and I say the reason is yes, he was on more, and the reason is because he had to bring his weight up. The other guys, his contemporaries, didn't have to bring their weight up. Back to you, fight doctor.
Well, I mean, maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know. I honestly, I don't think that he was on steroids to a greater degree somehow than his contemporaries. Not at all. I don't think so. Maybe perhaps he used it in a different way. Maybe because, look, if you're already a heavyweight, then adding muscle mass isn't necessarily going to help you throw a better jab. And that's the other aspect.
I think he took them just to bring his weight up. But carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's the other aspect of it that PEDs, they might help with your building muscle mass. They might help with your recovery. They may help with other aspects of your athleticism. But no amount of PED will ever teach you how to throw a jab. No amount of PED will ever increase your ring IQ. No amount of PED will give you a bigger heart. All those things that we celebrate Evander for having been, none of that stuff had anything to do with PEDs, his big heart, okay? And his willing to go to war and lay it all on the line. None of that had anything to do with PEDs.
I agree.
So,
and so to be clear.
Can I just make a point on this, Rafi?
Yeah, carry on.
Okay. Well, I don't know if everyone saw the previous fight review we did on Evander and his cruiserweight title fights against Quarry.
Mm-hmm.
But that's clear proof that Evander had fantastic God-given talent as a boxer. Arguably, at cruiserweight, I'm struggling to find a more skillful, faster boxer. And I think there's an argument to say that steroids took a lot away from Evander if it was steroids that created his mass. But 100% for me, the mass that he put on, however he put that on, did not make him a better boxer, and it didn't make him punch harder.
I think
I would argue that Evander may have been better at heavyweight if he'd have just gone, instead of cutting weight to make the cruiserweight limit, if he'd have just gone in at his natural weight. I actually think Evander might have been more effective. And I have a different view to a lot of people on steroids. I'm not convinced that steroids make you a better athlete. I think there are other drugs out there that potentially have a greater impact. But certainly using steroids to get big muscles, in my opinion, it only benefits those people who aren't naturally muscular and don't naturally have natural strength. Now, Evander Holyfield does not fall into that category.
No.
So, 100%, he had God-given talent. in answer to Troy's other questions, he's got a heart condition. So that's indicative of his body falling apart. He might look good, but he's got a heart condition. Arnie isn't falling apart. Arnie had a heart condition. So I've answered your question, Troy. He has a heart condition, so his body is falling apart. He had God-given talent, and he was an amazing boxer. And I actually think it's a shame he put all that mass on. I think it just took away from him.
I think it hindered him putting the mass on. So I got to be clear about the reason why I think that Evander Holyfield took the PEDs. Let's try not to use the word steroid because I think that YouTube can trace it somehow and they don't like it. Okay, so I think that he didn't take it to. I'll come to you next one. He didn't take it to be a better boxer. I don't think he took it to be a better boxer. I think he simply took it to get into the heavyweight division.
He did. That's true. I think one of the problems that was unfortunate back in those days, the cruiserweight limit was 190. Now it's 200. So he was actually getting to a point, even naturally, his body was filling out, and he was going to get to the point where he wouldn't have been able to keep under the cruiser limit.
Yeah, but I mean, he only weighed 215 pounds in those sort of fights with all that mass on him.
Oh,
so
yeah.
If he'd have gone into the fight at 200 pounds, 205 pounds, and he still would have had the lightning speed he had at cruiserweight, he might have been a more effective boxer because he didn't gain anything in punching power from all that mass.
No, he didn't really. He like when he fought George Foreman, he weighed 208 pounds. And he was punching tremendously hard in that fight, and he threw a high volume of punches, and he had the good speed to go with it, and he had big power. He had George rocking and rolling several times. So yeah, the big mass didn't help him really.
I think it may have helped him in the clinch. He may have helped him in clinch.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you've got speed and the sort of ring generalship he had against Quarry Raphie, you can avoid clinches.
You can avoid clinching. That's one argument. The other argument is that look at Tyson Fury. He decided to put on a bag of weight. Well, it's probably a bag of fat, but anyway, a bag of weight. And that extra bag of weight, it helped him in the fight. So I think that sometimes just increasing your weight can be beneficial. There's two arguments. It can be beneficial and it can be detrimental. That's life. There's always two arguments to fight, Doctor.
Yeah, so I think in the Tyson Fury example, him having put on weight was a mistake. Now, it may have worked out in the Wilder fight, but if you go back and watch the Wilder rematch, Fury was gassed by the time the fight was stopped. He was blowing wind. And I think that, if had Wilder not been as beat up as he was, the second half of the fight could have looked a lot. It could have been very interesting.
You mean you think that Wilder could have come back strong in it?
I think. Listen, I had Wilder not taken that beating that he took over the first half of the fight. Yeah. I think that he could have been competitive with a tired, gassed Fury in the second half of the fight.
I think that's
hold on a sec. With a tired, gassed Fury, but the problem with that is that Wilder looked tired and gassed in the first half.
Yeah, so I didn't see that. What I saw was Wilder having been beat up. There's a difference between being beat up and tired. Now, from what I saw Wilder.
I'll just interrupt you for a second, though, but because even in the first and second round, before he was beat up, Wilder was stumbling over his own legs.
Oh, listen, Wilder has terrible football. He has terrible footwork. He has terrible balance. Okay. Now, that's been constant throughout his career, all right? Yeah. But that doesn't mean just because he has terrible footwork, terrible balance, that he has terrible stamina. I mean, look, the man carries his power all the way up to the 12th round. So stamina is not a problem for Wilder. Wilder's problem is he just doesn't know how to fight. Okay, that's his problem. Mm-hmm. And, I think that from what I saw in the rematch, Fury looked like he was gassing out going on 6th, 7th round.
Really? I didn't see that, but carry on.
So listen, I just think that if Wilder had not taken that beating that he did in the first 6-7 rounds, that had he been able to make it to the second half of the fight, it could have been interesting. It could have been who knows what would have happened.
Yeah, but to do that against Tyson, he'd have to know how to box, and it seemed like he don't know how to box. So I'm being funny. I'm just being straight with you.
No, and I agree. I agree. I agree. But the whole point of me bringing that up was that putting on, I'm basically agreeing with John that putting on weight isn't necessarily an asset. You know, it can definitely hurt you, especially in the heavyweight division. You know, these guys are putting on all this weight. You know, and
Wilder put on a bag of weight as well. He put on 20 pounds.
Yeah, well, Wilder is a guy who's 6'7", 220 pounds. So he can carry a couple more pounds. He has the frame to do it.
But was that detrimental? Was that detrimental to him in this fight, though?
I don't think so. No, what was detrimental to Wilder was Tyson Fury's right hand and his jab. That was what was giving Wilder problems. It wasn't the weight. Weight wasn't the issue. Weight is not the reason why Wilder lost. It wasn't. It had nothing to do with weight. And again, in Wilder, you have a guy 6'7", however tall he is, but he can. I mean, what did he weigh fight night? 225.
Yeah.
So
was it 230?
Yeah, he was at his career heaviest, wasn't he? He was either 229 or 230. I think
it was 229, 230.
So I don't think weight was the problem for him. No, not in his case. No.
Apart, do you want to go, Raphael?
No, I said John Dean. Your turn.
Okay. I can see what Fight Doctor's saying in that there is a potential that Tyson could have started to gas, but I think the plan was to beat him up, and that is a trade-off. So I agree with that element of what he's saying in that Tyson intentionally went in heavy, but he didn't intend to go the full distance, so the plan worked. If he hadn't have been able to hurt Wilder in the way that he did, maybe the plan would have backfired, maybe. But the other argument as well is Wilder did put weight on, but his punching power didn't seem to improve. So, I mean, I think we kind of agree anyway. It's not all about mass. At the end of the day, being the bigger guy isn't a guarantee of anything.
No,
I think we can all agree on that.
It ain't no guarantee of nothing. But just to clarify, I think Marlon's dropped off. Has Marlon dropped off or is Marlon gone? Has Marlon dropped off or is Marlon gone? I'm not sure, but he's dropped. And to be clear, the reason I think that Evander took the PEDs was simply to get bigger. It wasn't to make him be a better boxer. He hired Lee Haney, 8-time Mr. Olympia from out of Atlanta, Georgia. Isn't that somewhere around where Evander lives? Atlanta? That's where the mansion, yeah? That's where the mansion.
Evander's always been billed as living in Atlanta. He's originally from Alabama, but he made Atlanta his home.
Atlanta, and that's where Lee Haney was and is. So the neighbors, and he employed him to help him put on weight. And a great way to put on weight is to eat. But if you want some more assistance with that, then boom, it's the injections, it's the juicy. It is the juicy. Marlon's back.
You know another guy who was suspect for his body that I always looked at was Ike Ibeabuchi. You know, his body, he was just built like he was just like a machine. Huge muscle mass, absolutely ripped, could throw 100 punches around. You know?
Yeah. There's telltale signs. There's telltale signs there from certain guys, no doubt about it. And there are also some guys who are just naturally big brutes, naturally aspirated. And so we can't leave that out, guys. You know what? It's been 3 hours and 28 minutes. I don't know if the people can take another fight. I think this has been a show in itself. I don't know if we go to another fight. I don't know. I'm easy either way. I can go either way. But I'm
probably going to jump. But hey, next time, Raphie, do the Lennox Holyfield second fight.
Well, we're going to do that in the future.
Yeah, man. Yep.
Future, no doubt. Can't promise
that'd be a good one
next time, but we're definitely going to do the second fight. We have to follow it up. Marla, thanks for jumping on, my friend. Thank you.
No worries. Cheers, guys.
Okay, cheers, buddy. And so, yeah, I think that, 3.5 hours, I think that's enough. I think that's enough. If we go into another fight, it can end up at 4.5 hours. And I don't know. My instincts tell me that that's too long. My instincts tell me that's too long. It's a shame because I was looking forward to the next fight. I really was looking forward to it. I don't know. Maybe we're gonna have to do that in a daytime thing. Maybe we can do that on Saturday or Sunday in the daytime. Maybe. But yeah, making an executive decision here. We're gonna do that probably Saturday or Sunday in the daytime. The second fight that we had in mind. Yeah, so I think we've come to the end of the show. Gentlemen. Who do you go with? We go with the Fight Doctor. If you can, you have your say, my friend. Thank you for jumping on, by the way. The Fight Doctor is here. He jumps on. It's good to have him. Fight Doctor, please, your final words.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me. Look, was Evander Holyfield on the PEDs? It certainly looked like it to me. But if you're going to indict Evander Holyfield for having been on PEDs, then don't let it stop with him. Let it put the blame where it belongs. It's the whole of the sport. It's the whole of sport, period. And so, look, if Evander Holyfield were on PEDs, he was doing it so he can compete with the rest of the PED users. And that in no way detracts from what he was able to accomplish as a heavyweight, because you just, at that point, you're doing what you're doing what the Romans do. Win in Rome, do what the Romans do. That's essentially what he was doing. And that in no way detracts from Holyfield being the great heavyweight that he is.
I agree. Absolutely. I absolutely agree. I was prompted to try and make a differentiation. Troy put down the gauntlet, and I said, I'll accept the gauntlet and I will give you my views on the matter, but don't get it twisted. Nobody get it twisted. I am a fan of Evander Holyfield. Grew up watching him. And yeah, he was an exemplary sportsman. But you can't forget about the other side. You can't forget about the clear, in my mind, clear PEDs. Not that I hold him to. I'm not going to hold his feet to the fire on that one because others were doing it. He wasn't the only one. I'll say the clear PED usage, and I'll also say the clear headbutting. Those are factors which I factor in. I personally factor in, and I say to you that. Lennox Lewis, if I accept the challenge of Troy to try and differentiate betwixt Evander and Lennox, is that Evander, clear PED usage, clear headbutt usage, and Lennox Lewis, we don't see any clear PED usage. Not saying never did, but we don't see anything clear about it, and we never saw the tactics of ear biting or headbutting. That is what I say. But the Fight Doctor, thanks for coming on. It's always good to have your insights over here. And so, thank you. Until the next time, the Fight Doctor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. And that was the Fight Doctor. And then there was two. Okay, before I go to John Daly's final words, what you do, Philip Carl Roberts, Troy is asking for a link. What you do is you write it in the permanent comment section. I mean, this is a permanent one, but the even more permanent one is there. It's available. If you're watching this in YouTube, or if you go to the YouTube page, you simply go to the permanent comment section. You type in or you drop the link in the permanent comment section. It's not going to show. It's not going to show because links are blocked. But what will happen is that it will show up on the back end. It will show up on the back end to wait approval from my good self. I will then approve it, and then Troy will be able to access it. So I repeat, put the link in the permanent comment section of the video, not this comment section, the permanent comment section. This is the chat section. We go over to the permanent comment section, put the link in there. It will not be visible. It will not show, but it will show up on the back end, and it will wait for my approval. I will approve it, and then it will be visible. Okay, so that solves that problem. I see there's back and forth on that topic in the chat, so that should have solved the problem. And yeah, very good idea. Smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button. How do people talk on the show? How do people talk on the show? They talk on the show by hitting the link, which I provide. In this section here, in the chat section, I provide the link, and then boom, if you have Google Hangouts, is it Google Hangouts? You need it? No, you don't even need it anymore. That was the old system. All you do is you hit that link, and if you have a recent telephone, or you have a recent computer, then you should be able to get through. Very nice words from Troy Graham. I appreciate those kind gestures, the kind words, much appreciated. Raf has to send the link. If you hit the link, you will be able to join. Yeah, that's how it works. That's how it works. And so we go to John D. Lee. First and foremost, John, thanks for jumping on, as per usual, for the Friday show. Yeah, your final words, my friend.
Yeah, this whole PED subject, I think I just have a different view to what a lot of other people seem to think.
What is your view?
I don't think there's nearly as many people on it as everybody thinks there is, and I'm not as convinced about how effective they actually are, other than if you're a professional bodybuilder or you compete in some form of weightlifting type sport, or American football or rugby. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm right, but it just,
I think it's overrated. I think people
it's vastly overrated.
The amount of people who run it, because listen, people say, "Oh, you can easily pass the drug test." Oh, you can easily. How do you pass the drug test? Do you know the extent of the drug test these days? Do you know? I'm talking to people in general. Do you know the levels and the depths they're going to? Do you know that some drug testers they're taking your samples? They're taking your samples from years past, and they analyze it with your current samples. They're looking for difference from the years past, and then they're holding a standard sample. They're holding a clean sample from you, and they're comparing it with samples over the years. Do you have any idea? People are talking about, oh, you can easily pass the drug test. Oh, man, please save it. Spare me. If you can easily pass drug tests, then how come people fail? How do people fail? People fail. Look at Johnny Bones Jones. Look up Johnny Bones Jones in the UFC. How many drug tests has he failed? Multiple, numerous. Yeah, and it says, oh, it was this, or it was that, or it's only a picogram in my system. I don't know. It came from that there. How many? The UFC don't want to see Johnny Bones Jones on the sidelines. The UFC want to see their top fighters fighting. Johnny Bones Jones has been out of the game for at least 2 years over various different times. Anderson Silva, one of their top fighters, he popped dirty. Okay, fair enough. He was past his prime, but he popped dirty. Do you think the UFC wanted Anderson Silva to pop dirty? Hell to the no, but he popped dirty. But yet I have people telling me that it's easy to pass the drug test. Oh, yeah? Oh, really? It's easy to pass the drug test if you're sitting on your ass on the sofa. Yes, because you ain't going to be in line for any drug tests. But if it was so easy to pass drug tests, everybody would be passing them. Back over to you, John.
Well, I mean, there are other grey areas as well, because there's a lot of advantage that you can get with the right support that you could argue is unfair. You know, some of the support that some of the top fighters get is a lot more than some of the support the fighters who are trying to make their way or who aren't big names get. It's legal support, but it's a big advantage. So, you know, you can have your blood tested to optimize your nutrition, your sleep patterns, and everything else. If you haven't got a lot of money, that's not happening. And then there's other substances out there that do benefit athletes that aren't illegal. So it does get into a really murky grey area.
Yeah.
My biggest thing with Evander is I just would have loved to have seen what he could have done if he'd have just stayed at his natural weight at heavyweight, because I think he would have still been competitive or possibly just as good as he was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe even better. But Evander, to come back to Troy's point of view, Evander was a fantastic fighter. There's just no way, irrespective of anything else.
Yeah.
Evander was a great fighter.
Yes, indeed he was. No doubt about it.
And I think we managed to get a good range of opinions on the show today.
Yeah.
Agreement, disagreement.
Part of the show over here is the Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio. You know, this ain't all about everybody gathering around and singing Kumbaya. It's about real topics, real discussion, real debate. Come on with your line, John.
Just set me up.
Come with your line.
Strictly logic beats some freedom of speech.
Boom, boom, boom. John, it's been great having you. I don't know if you're going to be around tomorrow, the day after, in the daytime, lunchtime-ish.
Yeah, it should be all right.
Yeah, so, okay, folks, so it's agreed. We're going to do this. I hate to leave people wanting and waiting and anticipating. So what we're going to do tomorrow, probably tomorrow, Saturday. Damn, I got to go and pick up my bike from the workshop. Yeah, but still, we got to fit it in Saturday. What time? We want the Americans to be awake. All my American friends to be awake. So if it's 9 a.m. over there for them, then it's going to be 9 a.m. on the East Coast. Then it's going to be, 9? It's going to be 2 p.m. over here. Okay, that sounds reasonable. 2 p.m., 9, 2:30. How's 2:30 for you? 2:30 p.m. UK time.
Yeah, that'll be all right.
Okay, so 2:30 p.m. UK time over here. We're going to do another show. We're going to finish off this show. Tomorrow. So, you know, it's going to be a new show. It's a new day, a new show. Yeah, so John D. Lee, thanks for jumping on. Are we going to do it some more tomorrow, 2:30 p.m.?
See you soon.
Excellente. That was John D. Lee. Tell me a time and I will join. I just told you the time, 2:30 p.m. UK time. Let me just put this in the chat, make it official. 2:30. Where's the dot? 2:30 p.m. Saturday, UK time. UK on capital T. UK time. More boxing talk and classic fights. Yeah, okay. So let me just do this. More boxing talk and classic fights. Classic fight review. Boom, boom, boom. That's UK time. So over in the States, East Coast, that's 9:30 a.m. I hope it's not too early for you Americans. Where we at? I would recommend not going around in circles with Troy. I'll just post the link and leave it at that. Don't go around in circles with Troy. What did I want? Why did I pick up the phone? I want to write something. Oh, I know. Where are we? Boom. There it is. Okay. So, Red Glove Militant up in the building. Okay. So, that brings us. What's that sound? That brings us to the end of the show. You have been in tune to another. Can I join the panel tomorrow? Of course, you can join the panel anytime. So that brings us to the end of another of these shows. It's the 3rd edition. It is the Boxing Talk and Classic Fight Review. 3. Boxing Talk and Classic Fight Review. 4. Yeah, I guess that's what it's going to be, isn't it? Tomorrow it's going to be Boxing Talk and Classic Fight Review. I'm going to write that up as soon as we end this show. It's been a good one. I'd like to send my thanks and appreciation out to all who jumped on the panel and all who were there in the chat, in the present, in the past, and in the future. So all that's left for me to say is thank you. Thank you for spending your time over here. You could have been anywhere. You could have been anywhere in the world on the COVID lockdown, but you chose to spend it over here at Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio, and that is appreciated. So all that's left for me to say is it's the like, it's the subscribe, it's the comments, it's the shares, it's the hitting that bell icon to stay updated with news and notifications. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter. And don't forget about the live shows just like this, Boxing Talk with Raphie and Boxing Talk and Classic Fights. See you Saturday. For those who can make it, it's 2 p.m., 2:30 p.m. UK time. It's 9:30 a.m. over there on the east coast of the USA. And what is that? That's 12. No, that's 9. So that's 6:30 a.m. over there in the west coast. If you're an early riser, got to get up for work, whatever it is, make sure you tune in to Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio. And all that's left for me to say is it's the Reverend Pickles. It's the Troy Graham, the Red Glove Militant, the Philip Carl Roberts, the John D. Lee, the Fight Doctor, the, who else we got here? Let's scroll back some. Okay, yeah, and it's the Ray D-ology. I think I've pretty much covered everybody who's been here for the last 20 minutes or so, everybody who came in earlier, like the Lisa Bayliss, the Ped, the Reverend Pickles, etc., etc., etc. Too many to name. Much appreciated. Same place, different time tomorrow. And the only thing left to say is blessed.